If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor look too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can hear the truth you've spoken twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life for broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginning, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are done, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 40 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
you write women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
But what is so important about driving faster than anyone else?
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
If like I wasn't a feminist, I don't know what I would be, if that makes sense. Like I don't really have like that's just all I know, I guess. And I guess I haven't really educated
That actually
myself.
makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Feminism is basically the air that we breathe, and it's the water we swim in, whether people know it or not. It's ingratiated in society. So you may not have any other position other than that. So if you say, I really don't know anything besides feminism, I believe you.
Thank you.
It's the mainstream. Do you guys believe in the patriarchy?
But it's still a bad position. It's still like what you
fine.
just saying.
And what is that? So what is the patriarchy?
It's patriarchy's when like men rule, right?
Mostly, right?
Men rule, women drool. Wait, what? Okay, that's it.
No, that was my fault.
Say it. Can you say the patriarchy is awesome?
It's not bad. It's not bad.
The patriarchy is awesome.
That one is for you, Good One Motorsports.
Target acquired.
Eagle 1, first strike. You have permission to engage the target.
Warning. The following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back, Kat. How are you today?
Slowly getting better.
Getting better? All right. Migraines yesterday, right?
Yeah.
That sucks. That's pretty terrible. Why would you do that? Seems suboptimal. So, I don't know. Anyway, on with the show. At KTS, that's actually the kind of the older intro. I have like 2 or 3 of them. I just kind of mix them up. I'm actually making a new one now. It's just something I do. I dislike just same old. So, you know, gotta kind of mix it up a little here and there. And I really like. Welcome to everyone. I see Stepfire out there. We've got a bunch of the usual suspects in already, and I'm sure more will trickle in as time goes by. There's 307 Coyote Killer out there, so that's good. I killed a lot of coyotes myself. It's been good. It's been good. So yeah, Kat, what have you been up to?
Being sick. Trying to troll chat rooms, but like falling asleep in between.
You're trying to troll chat rooms?
Yeah. Trying to, while I'm, sick in pain, I like to troll a little bit.
I see how it is. Well, I guess everybody has to have a hobby, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Oh, I did hop on Glenn's before.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that. You got called ma'am. You got ma'amed. Ma'am. Gonna have to calm down.
It is what it is. Guys know that's an insult too.
Ma'am, please, ma'am. Yeah. That's pretty funny. To me, it's probably not funny to anybody else, but it is funny to me. That's okay. So, you missed out on the whole Hawk Tua thing. You were gone.
Yeah.
So, I got the hat.
I see.
Got it signed. I have another one also signed. The guy who actually does these hats, he's going to do my merch for me.
What are you going to do? What kind of slogan?
Oh, what kind of drip are we flowing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got you. All right. So, we're going to start out with a line of kind of we're going to do 4 emoji shirts. We're going to do a frag out. We're going to do a Spurg and the Spurg's going to be like a can of energy drink with Spurg written on it, with like a guy in a man bun just down in that shit.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt, but what do those things mean?
You're not familiar with the term Spurg?
Spurg or frag? I don't know.
So frag out is something I say all the time because that's what I used to say when I would do a TTS on whatever, is I would say frag out.
Oh, okay.
Because, I just threw a grenade because I just throw grenades to see what shakes loose, right? And then Stepfire's he's laughing. I can tell this guy's laughing right now behind his keyboard. That's the whitest way to say that. I'm white. What can I tell you? I'm sorry, bro. So we're gonna do frag out, and let's see. Have you seen the new emojis? Have you been around for the emojis?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Okay. So and it'll have I think I'm gonna pretty much stick with the frag out the way it is, and just maybe put it on the back and put a little frag out 100% grenade or something. I don't know. I'll figure that out. That's what design people are for. That's not my job. And then the second one will be Spurg with a guy in a man bun with a drink and a can of that says Spurg on it, and like an energy drink. And the Spurg is where people just repeat over and over and over the same point, no matter how wrong they are. And they just get more and more like dramatic and energetic about it, right? Like that's when we say stop spurging, when people are just going, no, I really mean this. I really mean it. And we're like, dude, stop spurging. So I'm gonna have a Spurg t-shirt, and it's cognitive dissonance. I'm going to do 100% copium as a cream shirt with like the brown antique snake oil bottle with it'll say 100% pure copium, and the ingredients written on the side will be like liberal tears, crushed hopes and dreams, and 100% mineral salt. And then, so I don't think anybody will actually read that. That's just for me. That's my little, I think it'd be pretty small print. There's some other ones that are going to be pretty good. That I've got coming down the pipe. I don't want to give away too much because people will steal that shit. But we're going to do t-shirts, hoodies, hats. So, it's going to be cool. It's going to be real cool. And so all of my favorite emojis, copium, all of that, I think are going to be cool. There's a couple others, like I said, but and I'm probably going to do like laser engraved Yeti cups. I just haven't picked the design yet. I have the Grid One logo. I don't know if have you guys seen the Grid One, the actual Grid One logo? See if I can put that on the screen. There it is. Can you see that? That's my actual logo. I paid to have that logo made, so I might as well use it, right? Of course, I paid for it like 15 years ago. So however long ago it was.
I mean, a slight update could be fine.
I don't know if we update. Sweet Auntie, I actually have not. I've got a couple of guys. I have a guy who normally does that stuff for me, and he is. I think he's gotten too busy. Mosman, that's part of the joke, brother. That's part of the joke. Is that people will be like, "Hey, what do you mean Spurg?" And then you get to tell them when people just aggressively, aggravatedly repeat the same stupid ass point over and over and over again, trying to change your mind. It's great. I'm going to send you a link too. When we start calling people up, I want you to come up because you're cool. Welcome to all of the usual suspects out in the chat today. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun today. So, Kat, I know that you have not been following the congressional hearings that Jim Jordan has been running on. So, but you would appreciate these. These are congressional hearings on the weaponization of the press and the police, government police forces against conservatives. And it's great. It's just great. And it's funny. Like, a lot of this stuff is hilarious. I didn't put together any clips. Maybe tomorrow night I'll have some clips because it's fucking hilarious. This is the stuff that you would actually get into politics if you watch this, because it's hilarious to see somebody know they get asked a question in such a way that they know that if they answer that question, they're fried, and they will do everything except answer the question. And it is hilarious. So Jordan's been having these hearings, and today, or maybe it was last night, Elon Musk announced that X will sue anyone, corporation, politician, PAC, or group that contribute to the weaponization of the press against political comments or groups, which is basically saying that if they try and remain status quo of having the press go after conservatives or suppress like not even print conservative stuff, or it suddenly gets deleted off of Facebook or whatever, X is going to sue them, which is hilarious. That is hilarious. Come on, now look, that's politics. But now, can you not laugh about that? Is that not funny? Is that not exceedingly
It's not funny that
interesting?
it came to this. We have to admit that.
But
it's about time.
Right. It is about time, right? Look, but here it is, this guy he's literally like providing an answer to the problem that we don't really have a mechanism in society to deal with, and that is the weaponization of the press. That's the problem the congressional hearings are having right now, is that we have freedom of the press. So if they want to suppress an article, that's their right. Right. And when and they were really trying to, they've really been trying to get organizations like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all of these organizations that people use, like I'm using it to disseminate news and information, getting them labeled as press, more or less. But because that's the only way the Congress can deal with it, right? They can't deal with it when it's just a private entity. So that's an interesting dynamic, and I find it fascinating. I find it really fascinating because honestly, I believe that this is the way the founders meant for this to happen, is that a private company and a private individual is going after other private companies and supposedly private individuals to prevent the abuse of power that is corrupting the government. And I think that that's a very interesting thing. I would actually really like to have someone other than Kat up here to talk about this with, because Kat hates politics. Although I have kept her entertained so far. So Mosman, if you have if you have any thoughts on this, it'd be great to get you up. I think Glenn's going to drop in a little later. But after all the sex talk in the last round earlier, so I've just about done with that. So and if you don't want to come up, that's fine too. But I sent you the link, John, if you want to come up. But also, and we've got a lot going on today out there in the world. We have, well, actually, okay, let's revert back to the panel for a minute because Frank Black is Chesto in here? He can come up too, but I doubt he will. So Chesto brought a cringe element to it. He got you missed out, Kat. He got really pissed because he was like, you need experience before you get married. You should have sex before you get married, and you should know what to do. And I said, okay, that's cool. Because he said he had a daughter. I'm like, okay, so how many bodies do you want your daughter to have before she gets married? And he got super pissed. Super pissed. Like, I don't know why, because that's a legit question, right? Like you just said that. You just said that a woman should have some bodies before she gets married. And so why not put a number on it? Just give me a ballpark, over under, So, but he wouldn't do it. He thought that was a very cringe thing for me to say. I'm like, well, I think it's really cringy that you say that women should go get, and I'm saying this as a degenerate, as an extreme level of degenerate. This is my litmus test, right? If I look back, if I look through the lens of myself at the height of my degeneracy and I think it's degenerate, it's fucking bad. Right? Like, I'm just going to tell you that, right? Like, that's just the way it is. Hey, welcome. Good to see you, sweet Aunt T. His response was actually very concerning. And it seemed like he's kind of a, if not red pill, kind of red pill. Ghost 1978. I like most of the Jim Jordan clips or videos because he man, that dude takes no prisoners. He has zero fucks left, but he's trying to give them anyway. Like he's just out there handing out losses. Lauren, if you would like to come up, you're welcome to come up. Although the rainbow unicorn is concerning. That's odd, but you're welcome to come up as well. So anyway, yeah. Stepfire is right. Men who say things like what Chesto was saying are men who just coomed. They're still coomers, even married. You can be married and be a coomer. You can't. That's not that's not a mutually exclusive thing. That's one thing does not make the other untrue. Awesome. Lauren, you're welcome to come up. You were welcome either way, but you're welcome to come up. Glad to have you. Gender isn't real. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of true. It's a scientific term, I think, because that's how they differentiate. Mythical ones are. Yeah. I remember when I was young and had the rainbow colored toys, right? Like you had all the blue, red, purple, and all of the rings that stacked on each other. Now I just want I literally the other day I was looking at it going, I wish they were all red or all green. Or just red and green, whatever. It doesn't matter. Because I don't want to support the degeneracy. So yeah, good times. Jim Jordan is a beast. I like that guy. And the other one, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but there's another one that's just absolutely crushes souls in the courtroom. So you didn't even know that? All right. Well, that's cool. Lauren, if you would like to come up, just reach out to one of the mods and they will get you set up with a link, and that'll be that. So why is this that keep asking me? All right, so there we go. All right, Mosman, I sent you the link. I don't know if you got it. And let's see, what else am I trying to do here? Got to send it to, there you go. Who's up? Dano's up. So talk to us, Kat. Give us some knowledge today. Drop some knowledge on us.
About?
I don't care.
The only thing I can think about is like the last conversation I had with Glenn's panel that really upset me. Because all the degen guys kept saying that, like, if you don't let your husband or your wife have like relationships with friends of the opposite sex alone, then it's your problem because you're insecure and you need to get therapy or whatever. That's like always their go-to. And it's the same energy as the guy who gets caught like talking to girls on Instagram, and then you like confront him and he's like, well, then I'll just delete the whole app. It's just like, you know, it's like, well, I can't do anything. Well, I can't leave the house. You know, like they'll say like, well, there's women outside. I guess I can't leave the house because you're jealous and, you know, whatever. And it's just like, it's not the same thing. It's like you go to like this extreme psychotic place to justify your bad behavior when we all know that it's not even just sexual things that can happen, because a lot of single women are unhappy. We know that, especially after 30, they become more and more unhappy. And what do? Oh, you're married. Oh, you have a healthy relationship. They might not say, be with me. No. They might say, oh, well, your wife is this and this. Don't you want someone more like this? Or it would be so much easier if you had this or whatever. Anything to chip away very slowly where you don't even see it. You don't even notice it. It's very subtle. And then over time, you're coming home and you're looking at your wife different. And you're like, I wish she did this. And then you start noticing all the things that she doesn't do that you could get with some other woman. And then, you know, like these things happen and you don't understand that women are very, very conniving and sinister. And some men are too.
Cat is mad, Frank Black. Cat is mad as a hatter. Mad as a hatter. Welcome, John Mosman. How are you, sir?
Good. How's it going? Hey, I just want to say, Kat, I absolutely 100% agree with what you were saying in there. And you know, I think the thing of it is boundaries need to exist for a reason, and they do exist for a reason because people often cross them, right? They often cross those boundaries. And I think it's funny to me because a lot of people will joke about it or they'll take light of it and say, oh, that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Well, I can tell you from my own experience, I used to joke about a similar thing. And I'd always joke about it, and we'd always laugh about it, and we'd always be irreverent towards it until one day that boundary was crossed. And you can't come back from that. You can't undo that. You can't, you know, and for people to think, well, it's just not that deep or it's not that important or it's, well, you know, and to me, it's like, I heard one of the panels in there saying, one of the panelists saying, well, you know, my wife is my queen. Well, you know, if your wife is your queen, then, and if she ever said, honey, I don't feel comfortable with you doing this, then why would you have a problem listening to her on that and giving her that? Because to me, if your wife is your queen, then you'll do something because no matter how you feel about it, you'll know it will put her in comfort. And I just don't understand. You'll put her at ease. And I just don't understand why that would be a problem for husbands to do that. Not only that, but like I said on that panel at the end there, if you live in a small community like I do, I actually know this. There was actually a rumor that was spread about my aunt because when my uncle was working for the highway patrol during the day, she would go out to lunch with one of their friends. Both of them were married, right? My aunt married to my uncle and this guy was married to his wife. People were talking about it. They went to the same church. There were people in that went to that restaurant that went to that church. And before you know it, and then I think to grid to your point, which is that then you get the situation of people who are going to make false accusations, right? It's like these people who just go like, well, I just took the girl home from school. It's like, you're an adult male. She's a adult, or she's a female minor. there's no reason why you should be in a vehicle if you're not her parent, like or guardian. There should no reason why you're doing that, putting yourself in that kind of position. But not only that, but not to give someone any belief that you might be doing something. I think that's a disservice to people, and for people to take lightly of that just tells me just how not much of the consequences of these things that they thought about or really have dealt with in my experience.
Kevin says, Cat coming into the stream today with that I will shank my husband in his sleep if I found out he said hello to the gas station cashier energy.
I mean, I let him say hello to people, but when they get like really excited about it, it's a problem.
So I have an interesting take on it, and John heard me say some of it during the last stream, and that is that I don't have female friends. I just don't. And I'm never alone with females, and I just don't believe in it. And one of the reasons I'm like that is, probably, like 20 years ago, 21 years ago now, I had a friend of mine. I was in Colorado, and so right before I met my wife, I hung out with with a group of people, and one of the guys was in construction, and he had a really nice wife. I think she was a nurse. I could be wrong. She could have just been like in the healthcare industry in some. I don't know what she did, but I just remember healthcare or something. And they were really good friends with another couple, and I don't remember what either one of them did. I think the girl was completely unemployed, and the dude owned a company of some kind. I don't really know. And I'm talking, these people did everything. They were best friends. They did everything together. They went out on a boat together. They went snorkeling together. They went to the Bahamas together. They did everything together. And I was just part of the friend group, And I always thought it was weird. Well, about a year into it, and of course, and I would say a year into the time I knew them, they had known each other for years. I was the new guy because I just moved to Colorado a while before. The whole thing blows up. This my friend, the dude, was sleeping with the other couple's wife, and it destroyed both marriages. And wait, hold on, I've got that backwards. My buddy was not sleeping. My buddy was only sleeping with his wife. The other dude and his wife were making passes at my friend's wife, and she cheated with the husband, and they actually ended up with an affair that destroyed both marriages. My buddy, we'll call him. No, I'm not going to do that because you could probably search my friends list and find it. Anyway, my buddy decided to basically drop all of them, like completely drop of a hat, and just moved on with his life. But it was a huge mess, and it ruined him pretty hardcore. And I don't know that his ex-wife stayed, if she married that guy that she cheated with or not. I don't know. It just blew the whole friend group apart, right? Because now everybody's mad at everybody.
Right.
And how did you not see that coming? Like, I was sitting here looking at some of their pictures on Facebook, and I'm like, you're in the Bahamas, and they're in like exceedingly small bikinis. And you get, come on. Why put yourself in this situation? Like, why would you do that? My wife and I don't go anywhere with other couples, period. Like that's not what we do. Now we might, we'll go to a comedy show or something, but we're not going on a vacation. We're not going out on the boat together. We're not lounging by the pool together. I don't have people over for dinner casually. Anything like that. That's just not how this works. And it's because people are human. People are human. And a stiff dick has no conscience. I'm just telling you.
Right.
That's what happens. Right. And so it's interesting to me that people and add in alcohol, right? Which I don't drink, but other people do. So add in alcohol, add in just having a great time. You're on the beach, it's sunny, you're having a great time. Shit happens. Why put yourself in a position for that to happen? This is the reality that I recognize as being reality. What is not reality is, oh, we're just friends and that's all we're going to be. And I don't care how many times I see her in a thong bikini, I'm never going to have ideas about banging my friend's wife. I mean, no, it's not how that happens. And why would she do that in front of you anyway? What kind of fucking sick ass woman does that? Like the whole thing was strange to me. And actually talked to my friend. So but I think he's, I almost said his fucking name. I think he's fucked up because his current girlfriend is smoking hot. Like, she's a little bit younger than him, not by much, but she is absolutely amazingly genetically gifted. And she seems to be a really nice person. I've only talked to her a couple of times. You know, I don't know much about her. So I was talking to my buddy over the phone because I only catch up with him every year or so. And we were just joking about how, you know, his new girlfriend really didn't need to work. He's fairly successful, and when I understood that they were in a relationship, she was working at one of his companies, like some menial job, right? Like he basically gave her a job to keep her busy during the day or whatever. And now she's doing, I kid you not, she's doing OnlyFans. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? Did you not learn the first time? Like, what is up with you, man? And he's like, yeah, she makes so much money. He's like, it's ridiculous how much money she makes. And I'm like, dude, I can't help you anymore. Like, I can't help you, bro. I want to, but you're fucked up. Like, I don't know what it is with toxic ass women and this dude. But they got his number. I think all of them have his number by now, to be honest with you. But his girlfriend does only, and he's totally cool with it. Now she only does like takes her bra off or whatever she does, like, but by now she's probably doing the full Monty for all I know. But I don't know, man. Dude's got a problem, which is why I don't hang out. Well, actually, I haven't hung out with him in years, but that's one of the reasons why.
You can leave that on, John.
No, I was just putting on the fan. I'm going to put my mic back on. So.
I'm sorry, John. We couldn't hear you.
No, that's okay. Did you hear like a small amount of that or something?
We just heard some words.
Yeah, it's because I had my mic, the hot mic on, and I didn't mic it, and so my wife was asking me a question because I had the fan on my face. Because I don't know about you, but it is hot here, and I'm just like, sometimes I just have to have that fan directly on my face.
Warm here in Tennessee.
You know, it's just like cold air, cold air, cold air. You know, so I didn't want it to come on my mic, and especially when you were saying such profound things about your buddy. So, my buddy, wherever he goes. Trouble follows.
Yeah, no, I don't know what's up with that dude. That guy he's just something wrong with him. And
I got a story.
Okay, go ahead. Story time with Kat.
Yeah, so
pull up a pillow.
Oh my gosh. So I have like a high school friend, and he ended up, again, one of those, he drinks, his ex-wife would drink. They would go on like boats and vacations with their other cute couple friends, and they would all drink too. So of course, because people are stupid, that's why I don't like when people drink. I'm like, why are you putting yourself in that situation? Hello. Anyways, so he actually ended up cheating with another guy's wife. Sorry.
You almost said husband.
I know. It would have been even funnier. But anyway, so they ended up cheating. It took a year or two before her husband figured out that they were cheating. He like apparently caught them at one of those raunchy motels one night. Anyways, so they split up, and then, you know, he married the friend's wife that he was cheating with, right? So now they're married, they have a kid, whatever. But every time, like, we'll have a dinner party and she comes over, I swear she has like massive Jezebel sexual energy. All the husbands will like stare at this girl and like foam at the mouth. And it's like, these are guys in happy marriages. Yeah, like it's just like, it's really, because she's hyper sexual. Like she wears like everything is form fitting. I mean, gorgeous woman. She's even older than me and she looks like she's 20. Beautiful, adorable, like well put together. You know, time was kind to her. But I mean, all the guys will be like that. And then I've had the wives go, you can't invite her anymore. Like, you know, right. I'm sorry. Because first of all, she cheated before. Second of all, she's just like, you know, way too, like, you know, she'll touch you on your shoulder when she talks to you. She'll look in, she's hype. Like, it's like, calm down. I mean, thankfully, my husband does not look at her because he's not into like that. But she will like make the other boys go nuts. So yeah, I had to stop inviting them, and they're so funny, and he's so funny, and my husband loves him, but like we couldn't bring him around because, you know, you got to be respectful to like the, you know, the wives and stuff with your friends. So yeah, it is what it is. When someone is like that, you have to, you know, distance yourself from them.
So for all of you wondering in chat, Kat is half Persian and half Cubano, and she's like mid 40s, maybe late 40s. We don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Right. Sure. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. Raynor, you just popped in. Are we going to talk politics today? We have to ease into politics. Kat's eyes roll back when we start talking politics, but we're going to get into it here shortly because we have Mr. Mosman here who we started talking politics last night, and we got sidetracked for about an hour by Andrew, which was awesome. He may come back in the day. I always send him the link, so you never know. He might pop in, so you never know. And but John's away from his mic from right now, so.
No, I'm here. I just, like
sorry.
I said, when I have the fan, I don't want it to blow on and affect the sound. So it's just like,
actually,
I have this mic that's a super. Well, and it's because I've had to really adjust the settings on this thing because when I was first, you know, getting on YouTube and I was doing it, like my wife could literally like flush the toilet in the other room or it would pick up hot mic. You know, it's just like, oh my gosh, that's like. So this thing, I mean, I could probably be in the kitchen and be like, you know, dicing tomatoes or whatever, and be like, yeah, that's a great point, Kat. And she'd be like, I didn't say anything, you know.
She's not 40. She's over 40 by a lot. She's been married for like 20 years. So she's at least 41. Just by mathing. So anyway. Right. She does have a kid.
And I don't look anywhere close to my age.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you how old I am. I don't know if you know how old I am, Britt.
No, how old are you?
What would you say based on what you've seen of when I'm on camera?
I'd say you're like probably 38, 30, 37, somewhere along in there.
That's a pretty good guess. No, I'm 43, so.
Okay. Just not because you may have heard me say my age before, but how old do you think I am?
If I had to guess, I would say you're probably like 52, 51.
53, actually.
Okay.
53.
Yeah.
Very good guess.
Yeah. Just because given you
shots fired, Kat. Shots fired.
Just because I think, to me, what the first thing, I don't look for looks because looks are deceiving. But the thing is to me, I look for like certain phraseology or certain expressions. So you definitely have like a Gen X vibe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not technically Gen X, but I'm not millennial. I'm in that middle ground, which we call back when I was younger, we called it the Generation Z or whatever, or the Zennials or Xennials or whatever how you want to say it. So, because I am not a millennial because I didn't grow up with a cell phone. I didn't have internet until I was at home, until I was like way out of high school. And, you know, using internet, you had to do dial-up. The only place you could get DSL was at the high school library, and they gave you like an hour and a half limitation on that. I was the last class that they did typewriting, the keyboarding class on an actual typewriter.
I did that I did that a long time ago.
And the other thing I say is that there's certain keywords and things I think people say or do and things. So I think if you remember at all as a kid or, you know, old, like at any way, if you remember how DOS, first of all, if you remember what DOS is,
yeah,
and you remember how to put in command prompts in DOS, you're not a millennial. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually, the first ECUs I programmed in high performance cars were based on MS-DOS. They were horrible, absolutely horrible. So I'm so glad that we've come so far. But that gives me a range of years of experience that other people just don't have. So.
And I'm thinking too, it's like, you know, I remember like when Windows 3.0 came out and just thinking like, this thing is the bee's knees, you know. It's like, you know, and there's other things too. I think there are cultural things that indicate those type of things. Like I don't think millennials will remember like the old ads for the Ron Popeil pocket fisherman.
I love that. I love the Ronco.
The Ronco, yeah, the Ronco stuff, yeah.
So what do you think about just, you know, we'll get off of the reminiscing for a minute. John, what do you think about Elon's public statement that he will sue perpetrators and collaborators, as he calls them, if they participate in advertising boycotts against conservatives, conservative news sources, conservative shows and panels?
Well, he's obviously using, I think it's good. I think he's using his influence and he's using his financial ability to, because I think this is really where it comes down to a lot of these things is economics is always the one common denominator of how things get done. And the people who are usually in office, excuse me, who are promoting things that are detriment to society or culture or overall people's lives, they're done because they're put there by people. And like Andrew was saying yesterday about people who are generationally and kind of continuously put in the same positions to make advantage. And so I think there's some good with that. The challenge is, and I think this is the thing, especially as we see how social media has now become like the public square, is how far does this go? You know, how, you know, and it's, so I think people who have personal means and have influence should be using their platform to try to push back on these things, because I do think the corporate media is being used against the American people 100%.
Yeah, I agree with that. What do you think, Kat?
I agree.
Just 2 words. That's all you're going to throw out there.
I mean, that's all I got right now.
That's all you got right now? So I find it interesting how everyone thought that when Elon bought X, that it was going to destroy everything. And yet X has consistently grown, even despite all of the whining that the left did. And even and now they're using all of the technology that that Twitter used in the last election to, when they were banning Trump, they were stifling conservative voices and literally removing content. They're using all of that same technology, plus they've added more to find the people who are perpetrating it on other platforms, which I find fascinating. I find fascinating that we have multiple ways of determining who's doing what now and tracking such things. So it's a very interesting data point right out of the gate. But even beyond just tracking that, it's what can the
Corey, please?
what can the
Corey, my name is
sorry, I
Brenda.
got distracted.
I'm calling with an
John's mic's hot again. There he goes. Got distracted there. But Musk is able to do things, and I say Musk, I mean it's all of Twitter /X. He's able to do things now that we just couldn't do before, and actually have a lot of really interesting repercussions going forward in how we can track this, all of the behind the scenes machinations. I think it's going to be really interesting, and not just tracking it, the fact that he has the resources to go after them and they can't hide because nobody will sue them because it's too expensive or whatever the line is. I think it's interesting to me on a lot of issues. Peter Thiel is the background of Musk oscillating. I mean, this is that's a good statement. I really feel like that, Anson. I really feel like that Musk is really. So look, I don't believe that Musk is a force for good for the right or the left. I just think he's kind of chaotic neutral, if I have to use a term that most people in this chat would understand. He's just like, he doesn't really care, but he wants to cause a little chaos, not too much. And I think that he really despises underhandedness. Yeah, he's a businessman. He doesn't like cheaters. So, yeah, it's really interesting. Anyway, so Jim Jordan is leading off the congressional hearings, a weaponization of the press against conservatives. That is, that's a great thing for everyone. Jordan has proven to be a bulldog in this race. He's really been terrific, to be honest with you, in these congressional hearings. There's I don't know that we can really say that much more about it. Jordan is doing a great job. I mean, obviously, look, the hearings are not going to go as far as we want them to, right? I mean, it's just not. They'll hold hearings. They'll be able to send somebody up for prosecution. Probably not. They're just going to expose a lot of stuff. The gain is in giving if X / Twitter goes forward with lawsuits, they'll have all of the evidence gained by the congressional committee. We just have to understand that these congressional hearings are usually just a bunch of hot air, and they just never lead anywhere. So that's the reality of it. However, I don't think that's the whole story. And there's I think things could go closer to our direction. Have you heard about the Project 2025 manifesto, or whatever they're calling it? Kat, have you heard about this?
Yeah, let me look it up because there's a few.
Yeah, right. So and look, chat, you
Conservative
guys.
one? Yeah.
Yeah, so there seems to be a lot of confusion about this. So Chad, if you've heard other stories, feel free to post up comments. My understanding is that a leftist actually wrote this and basically inserted Trump's name into it. And this was originally intended to be a satire piece showing the leftist the absurdity of the right. Let me see if I can find it, and I'll post it up here. And of course, what happens with satire often in leftist circles is that it gets picked up as reality. And so the leftist who wrote it as satire was picked up by another leftist who viewed it as reality, and now it's being actually credited to Trump having written it. And
do you know who wrote it? That would be huge because I'm looking for anything on it.
Well, so that seems to be redacted. Like, I do believe that somebody knows. But I don't think they're talking about it because I think it's exceedingly embarrassing right now. Right. So, and I was trying to find that they have like a manifesto. Maybe it's really absurd, right? Like it's some of it's not bad, some of it's really absurd.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I have it pulled up. It says,
okay.
Project 2025 was spearheaded by the Heritage Foundation and like-minded conservative groups before Trump officially entered the 2024 race. The Heritage Foundation is a think tank that has shaped the personnel and politics of the Republican administration since the Reagan industry. So it really had nothing to do with him.
Yep.
Yeah, and that concerns me because the Heritage Foundation started off good, but who they are now isn't, in my opinion. And again, take this from somebody who is on that kind of, if you want to call it the anarchist libertarian sphere, right? And the Heritage is in that area, but it isn't what it used to be.
But, is anything wrong with what they say?
Other
than scaring liberals.
It scares. I mean, I don't know that there's anything intrinsically wrong with it. I just think a lot of it's just exceedingly hard to implement, and it's just kind of like pie in the sky stuff, right? But
criminalizing pornography would be amazing.
Again, it would be. How do you do that?
I mean, just like they criminalize CP, I mean, there's already a way to do it. Yeah, you can get it on the dark web, but it makes it much harder and harder to, if you want to sell like weed or something, you can't.
So in general,
make money off of that.
I agree with you. In general, I agree with you that we could use the same technology that we use to deal with PDF material, right? And the FBI, CIA, NSA, all of the interesting agencies all have a way to do that. But it's not just online.
Right.
And
there's a lot of things,
and you have to define it. So if you define some literature can be defined as pornographic. So, as a matter of fact, there's a book in the Bible.
Yeah.
That is basically softcore, right? So, how do you draw those lines? You can't really use the hate speech. I know it when I hear it.
Yeah.
No.
Thing. You can't use that.
I do think that if people are really wanting to advocate for the removal of this and to try to do it in a legal way, I think the first and foremost thing that has to be done is you can see what states are already doing, states like Utah, right? And I think it was it this month? I think it was the beginning of this month where you cannot access Pornhub if you have an IRL that's coming out of Utah. There's like a couple other states that also joined that. And the reason why Utah and other states that did that made that was it was coming from because of the fact that they don't do good verification, right? A lot of those sites will just say, "Are you over 18?" Blah, you click it, and then you're instantly in the content. Some of them probably don't even do it at all. But so what they're doing is they're looking at this from a protection of children, and I think that is the legitimate way of how you'd go about doing this. Is you would say, okay, and if you start to say like, okay, if without a process of, and then this is the thing that a lot of people don't want to do. So the other part of what they were saying was, in order for someone to access that, they need to be able to be verified. How do you verify someone? Well, they have to be verified with their identity. Well, watch half the people who do that stuff stop doing it right away because they don't want people to know that they do it, because it's a shameful thing that they're doing. They know it.
Right. And then there's all kinds of database risk concerns and hacking. And
just like the Ashley Madison thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Ashley Madison's an excellent example of that, because that there were many high profile divorces because of Ashley Madison. And so that's an excellent example of the unintended consequence, which I'm not saying it's wrong, that happens, but the idea that I would rather just nuke all of it online and just not really care too much about the printed and whatever, just kind of go back to the 1960s with it, right? Go back to the 70s. And
because when I was a kid, that it was so hard to get, especially the younger you were, right? That is, I think, part of the reason why we've seen this epidemic of it going off scales, is because of how easy it is to access it. And like, nobody wants to be that kid. Like, I remember I had a friend, he's just like, oh, can we get so-and-so to buy? It's like, after a while, when it's so, and I think this is where Andrew was coming off of some of the stuff we were talking about in our debate, where from a policy perspective of when you decentivize people, there is legitimate fallout from that. There's people legitimately don't want to, or it becomes harder, and therefore they become less incentivized. So I think the thing of it for me is, another way you can look at it is, without verification of whether people are sex workers, or if you put another this is the other thing you got to do on regulation. When you do regulation, is you say, if you can't verify certain things that we need to have to make sure that there isn't people who are exploited that are being used in this, then we're not going to allow you to have a public accessible website. You're going to have to be able to essentially have some type of membership where you give access through a membership paywall type thing. And again, if you make people have to pay for it, that will diminish it a lot, because the fact that people could just go on there right now and just.
Hi, Andromeda. My name is Brenda. I'm calling with Internet.
John's a busy guy today. I agree with some of what he's saying. We'll get into that in a minute. Stepfire, have I seen the stats requiring what a verification has done to Pornhub? No, I haven't. That would be very interesting to see. So I forget who said it. I think it was Sweet Tea said that she would rather, instead of banning porn, she would rather the money be put into educating children on just not using it, right? Like put money into education and teaching or guiding people to abstain, I guess would be the right word. I kind of like that. That's okay. But I don't know. I don't know that how effective that would be. I mean, I like the idea, I like the premise, but I don't know how effective it would be. So that's interesting. Good parenting does not matter when it's free on every cell phone in school. That is also true, Kat. Thank you for that comment. And I think it's very interesting. It's a very interesting comment with I think it's a very interesting comment with regard to corn. My problem, I just don't see being able to get rid of it. I do think that you could nuke the internet corn. Go ahead.
They do have programs now on every cell phone where it knows exactly what you're watching and can report you if there's something inappropriate on it to the government. So we can completely ban it, no problem. There's also features on Windows and coming out on Mac soon. They're going to watch everything you watch, be able to report it to the government. They could easily block it and report and fine you for watching things. To say that it's impossible is not real.
I have enough oversight in my life from the government.
No, but the oversight is there. Nobody stopped the oversight. We already have it. It's already installed. You are being watched. Everything you do, every input you make, everything you download, it's already being monitored and going into their system. That being said, since it's already there, use it for good. Force them to use it for good. They can actually take memes off of your cell phone now if they don't like it, if it's against their narrative. Mine turn black all the time.
Your memes do?
Yeah, sometimes I put inappropriate memes on my phone to show people.
Inappropriate memes? You?
Oh no.
Not Kat.
Now my VPN doesn't stop that. And this is the thing is, so this is the thing that people don't realize when they try to access this stuff, or they try to do anything. This is why, like, anything that becomes attached to your IP is going to be spot on. You know, people think that just because they go into private mode that their internet provider or that the people who have access to that network can't see that. They can't. The thing I think for a lot of people is as well on some of this stuff is some of it gets into this issue of then how much do we censor? And again, it's, yes, we have the means to censor, but I don't think that itself means it's a good argument for why we should censor. And I think coming from a very hard, like, let's just get rid of it all. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's not good stuff. It has a detriment to people. It is not good for people. It wrecks marriages. It does a lot of all these bad things. But when we come up from that standpoint, what we're doing is this. Here's the thing: a lot of the stuff, like let's just say the bad stuff that people, they're not accessing that on their website. They're not going on Google Chrome and like searching that up on the night. Like that stuff that's actually hard. You know, that's stuff that they download from like a thumb drive, or that's so. That is always, I think you're right there, Greg. That kind of stuff's always going to exist, right? There's always going to be a market for people to find that stuff and sell that stuff and access that stuff.
So I think, I mean, look, okay, if we really want to limit the amount of corn exposure, here's the thing. Here's what you can do. Make it illegal to make corn again, especially in California. That was a huge bump in the corn industry when California decriminalized the making of pornographic material in movies. Corn skyrocketed. It became a completely new, I mean, not new, but it revitalized that industry in California. But politically, right? Politically, I don't think that you could, I don't know how you would legislate this. I don't know how you would make it work without a lot of unintended consequences. I 100% agree. Companies can zap corn off your phone. Your internet providers can limit the corn sites to where they can go. I mean, we have a lot of ways to do this, but again, the idea that there's going to be legislation involved, as much as I would like it, I just don't see how we get there, right? And again, but on the other side of that, I think that we all have. I mean, we have the technology to literally nuke every corn site that as soon as they pop up. Like they couldn't even be up for more than, they'd be up for like 30 seconds before the spiders found them. And
yeah, but it's too profitable for taxes. I mean, it's a 40 or $96 billion industry, and think about the amount of taxes that the government gets from that. If we nuke it, right? The government is the thing is the government is so dependent upon taxes. Like they always need more. They always need more, right? Like to sustain like the current, cost of all their unnecessary bills. What the government would do would be like if there was a alternative way for the government to gain the same amount of taxes from another industry or a new industry, right? Then they would be more inclined to shut it down because they'd be like, okay, at least we're still getting the same amount of taxes from this other industry now and not this industry. But that's just my opinion. I think
again, I just the question is, how would you legislate any kind of corn ban? That's the problem. Right?
The best way
I don't see that you could legislate it.
I don't think you could legislate it, especially now, unless you redefine pornography to be expanded into, or prostitution to be expanded into pornography. Right? If you change the language, or if they passed a bill where it says that pornography is prostitution and it maintains that prostitution is still illegal, well, then at that point, you would be able to legislate it under that framework.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think that's why I'm saying if you're legitimately trying to curve this stuff, here's the thing. I don't think you'll ever get something that will kill it all. But if you're looking to start curving stuff, you have to have some kind of existing thing where there's a law or precedent when you're trying to push something to try to make it enforceable. So unless you want to completely have someone in Congress write a new law, and in that case, that's why you would probably vote for people like Glenn to stop all the Coomers.
Here's the other thing. This is where it's more complicated, because actually pornography is under protection of the First Amendment. So you would have to fight
that in the Supreme Court.
You have to appeal that, get that appealed, right? Before you could even legislate anything.
Yeah, this is my problem with trying to deal with it through legislation. I think that you could deal with it through, societal pushback against the industry. I think that you can deal with it through local and state laws as far as, throttling it and only making it available to specific people, or even specific. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to ban it. You could just restrict it. Sorry, I got people grabbing me here. But I don't think that you can, I just don't see where the legislation happens. Like, I understand people like it's, and this, all right. So, and we've gone down kind of a rabbit hole, but the thing, this is one of the things that Project 2025 talks about that's just ridiculous. It can't happen. There's no way to make it happen. There's no path forward. It is something that if I say I would really like this to happen, sure. is it possible for it to happen? Not really. And Project 2025 has a lot of those things. Like, I think they're banning something. What was it? There's some things that they get, like, they're going to get rid of no fault divorce, right?
Yeah.
They're going to.
Is that part of Project 25?
Yeah, part of Project 2025, which is being attributed to Trump, but Trump had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, because
go ahead.
There's like 4 states right now that is it the senators or the congressmen that are trying to repeal no fault in those states?
So
Oklahoma, Louisiana.
So it's a conflicting issue, right? Because there's no federal law for no fault divorce. There are technically, I think, 11 states that have true no fault divorce. Most of the other states simply have a
no fault like.
Yeah, they have, like, it's not really no fault, but it's pretty close, right? Like, as long as both don't contest it, you don't have to give reason for fault. There's there's just some other weirdness, so they don't have to call it no fault. So I don't understand how. Again, I said this yesterday, and I was a little bit off my game yesterday and said that no fault was federal. It wasn't. Reagan, as I corrected myself on the show, Reagan signed that in as governor of California, not as president. He said that he always regretted that decision, and later in his term as president, it became a real thing.
Yeah, I read that in the memoirs that he wrote to his son.
Yeah, he talks about how.
Yeah, his biggest regret was signing no fault into law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I feel like that I feel like there's this, like, disconnect that we run into when it comes to no fault divorce. And states like California, it would be great to have no fault divorce gone in California, but the president can't do that. This is the problem with things like 2025. It's really bad because most of this can't get done. This is just like, it just gets people pumped up for nothing, right? Like, let's talk about things that can actually be fixed, right?
Well, I mean, I think they can legislate to a degree. Since no fault was never legislated federally, right? They could always legislate, fault divorce to be federal, right? So then you still have the states, to have their own version of no fault to a degree, but it would still have to be in alignment with the federal law for divorce.
The problem is that they're not going to be able to enforce that. And the reason why they wouldn't be able to enforce that is because when you get your marriage license, you are being licensed not by the federal government, you're being licensed by the state that you live in. And so that's that and so that is, I think, the issue here is and how we attribute federal law into state law, and it's the same thing. I think the reality of it is, for a lot of people, is what has to happen is you have to be able to create that culture within that state again that created that. And in the case of California, it's probably too late, too gone, in my opinion.
Yeah. So no fault divorce would be a state's issue. We have this tendency to look at the one guy that can solve the problem, and that's wrong. The president can't do anything about no fault. Now, could he lean on California and say, "Hey, you need to change this policy. This is not in line with the rest of the nation, and we are a nation of states, and so you need to kind of fall in line with that, and put some pressure economically or otherwise on California to push them in that right direction." But just and we keep, and I don't want to go down rabbit holes point by point. I'm just looking at Project 2025, and most of what it calls for cannot be accomplished. Not legally. I'm not saying that it can't get accomplished. It's just not legally. Sweet Aunt T, I have Siege has the link. Everybody, I mean, I'm assuming that the mods and everyone's working on getting him up.
Oh, I have his direct contact. I could drop him the link.
Well, I think they've got the.
Because if you want, like I said, I can message him the link right now.
No, and John, you're okay. Don't worry about being up. 6 is about the limit. When I have multiple people up, I really like to have like 4 seems to be the magic number, but 6 is cool, especially when you've got respectful guys like Glenn and Clover Tack, and then of course we have the screensaver up there. The screensaver.
The killer.
She's a killer though. I don't understand. Don't sleep on.
Sleep with one eye open around her.
Yeah, don't sleep on the cat. The cat will get you. So at the end of the day,
well, and that's why I don't like this stuff with the 2025 aspect. And this is the thing. This is why I said like the heritage stuff kind of is a little bit off for me because, you know, first of all, it's been a well-known established thing that the Koch brothers have been behind the Heritage Foundation, and I see what they do. Maybe they're not as bad as Soros, but they're like Soros. And I think they're looking for authority and they're looking for having, so I think they're going to use people's misguided wanting to reform things and say, if we just get all these federal reforms, then, you know, then all these great things will happen and not know the reason why they're behind it. And that is, I think it only supports more of what, like Andrew was saying yesterday, which is these people who put their money behind the system and then they're always having the same people up. So I think it's more of a power grab than it is anything else, in my opinion.
So I'm not sure that I'm not sure I disagree with that, but I'm not 100% in agreement with it either. So here's the thing about Project 2025 and other things like that. Project 2025 is on its surface, it answers a lot of things, but most of the things it talks about are really almost leftist positions, right? That they would not honestly mind happening, and they're definitely are authoritative authoritarian in nature, to the point that I'm not really sure why. I mean, obviously the ideas are good, but the rest is not good, right? And again, being a constitutional conservative, my preference is always to be states' rights as much as possible, and the federal government limited by the Constitution. And we seem to have lost that.
It's funny you just said what you just said, because I was just reading this article here on Heritage Foundation and that they're carrying water for big left-wing agendas. And that's something that I've been looking into because I said
put that up.
Yeah, so because I think it's interesting that some of this stuff's coming out about, you know, this is an older article, obviously, but
yeah.
So I'm very weary of anything that the Koch brothers are involved in. So I think Big Con is a big grift, in my opinion. So
yeah.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think Big Con is very much a grift.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's really true. Yeah, that's very interesting.
When we talk about no fault divorce, this was a thought that just popped in my head because I actually come up with the whole corn and online thing and kids thing is where I was going to come up into the conversation. But since we're on that, So I'm of the mind that the government, the state, as that's typically where it resides, needs to get the hell out of marriage anyway. So assuming that the state gets the hell out of marriage, would that not fix the no fault divorce? Because marriage itself would have to be through a religious institution, and then if other than that, there would be maybe some type of a filing jointly thing with the federal government. I mean, I can see some type of some type of a situation where it wouldn't technically be marriage, but the same perks would be given to those people. I don't know. Just I don't know how the whole divorce thing would work if you removed, and that's the question I'm pondering. I don't know how divorce in general would work in its current state or in a future state if you removed marriage altogether from the hands of the federal government. Like, what would that? Who would handle that? Like, who would handle whether or not?
Well, it'd be a civil.
It would be this church, right? It would be. Well, if you go the civil route, that would be through a. You could go through an arbitrator or whatever, I guess, and it not technically be through the government in the sense that it's not going through that type of a court system. So it can be arbitrated, an independent arbitrator.
Right. So I think that's an interesting line of thought. So here's the thing. I would say that if we're going to get the state out of marriages, then we have to go back to marriage as it was understood in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. And that is, you either married in your church, right? And to get divorced, you had to go back to your church and have the marriage dissolved, and the clergy would counsel you on the dissolution of assets, right?
Yeah.
No, and well, I think
then
first,
if you were a secular, then the only way you could get married would be at the courthouse, right? And it would only be a sheet of paper saying, it would be basically just a contract between you and another person that you're sharing time, space, and assets.
Well, why would you even need to have well, you would. I was going to say, why would you even need to go to the courthouse to do that?
I don't know.
Why could you not just draft?
That.
Why could you just not draft a contract like you would any other contract?
Well, so
I don't know.
And then the government, so you draft. What I'm saying is, you and whoever you're dating, and you're secular, and you draft the marriage contract, right? And then the government recognizes it's not the government allowing anything; it's the government recognizes that contract in the context of property and marriage, and property and taxes and other thing moving forward, right? The whole married filing jointly, whatever you want to call it, right? That could be married or you get what I'm getting at. They could add a line to that very easily to cover it. And then should something happen to where then you're right. That would be some type of in the same way that it would be a business contract. You would have to go through some type of arbitration, which would then look at everything, divide the assets. Hey, you had this before, you had that before. Hey, here's what we do with the kids, whatever. Right. I don't know. I think marriage might be too easy to come by now, and I just wonder about the whole divorce rate. If marriage was marriage itself, or any type of a contractual union was a little bit more difficult to achieve on the logistical side of things, it makes me wonder if people wouldn't put a little more thought into it. But maybe that's just me.
My question is, don't you think they would have to redefine marriage back to the original definition of marriage between one man and one woman, rather than a union between two people?
Well, obviously marriage would, if it was going to be, if the government was stepping out of marriage and it was handed back over to the church, then yes. it would absolutely revert back to the biblical definition, right? And then but there would be an equal footing there where that's all I'm saying. There would be. It's like, I'm trying to think. This is probably a bad analogy, but it's almost like the difference between some type of a criminal activity and then some type of a civil egregious or something, right? So one is handled in a different way than the other, even though they are essentially the same thing. They essentially, it involves some type of arbitration, court system, somebody making a judgment, somebody assessing evidence, somebody doing all these things, but at the same time, it's two separate things. Why can't you have that with the government stepping out and then there being something that can secularly be recognized again for the certain protections and other things that need to happen?
I get where you're going with this, and that is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you really couldn't have a secular marriage though, if it's
call it whatever
going
you
back to
want.
the state. But if it goes back to this, if the state gets out of marriage and it goes back to the church is not going to, say, oh well, yeah, we'll do secular marriages too. So then there would have to be some form of agency or some form.
Well, you're getting hung up on marriage, I think, Glenn, and that's what I'm saying. It would not be a marriage; it would be some other type of thing on an equal footing.
Well, that's what happened, right? So back in the early days of this country, early days of this nation, most people were in the church, and so they had, traveling clergy that would marry people, and divorce was supremely uncommon. So, I mean, like, it almost never happened. And when it did, it was done in the church, not in the courthouse. But at some point, probably due to a lack of clergy, we allowed judges, who were often clergy, to be able to, we gave them the power to marry people.
Right.
Now, that was then because a judge was now able to do it. Then now we had to have laws around it, and it kind of just grew from that. What I think I'm saying, and maybe what Glenn is saying, and I think you too, Clovertack, we're just all saying it in a different format, but it's the same thing, is that, well, first of all, secular people, I don't see any benefit to them getting married whatsoever, other than that the socially constructed tax and other benefits and liabilities that come along with that. There's no other reason for secular people to get married other than that. As far as in the church, I just go back to, why don't we just go back to late 1800s, early 1900s, and if you want to get married and you're religious, then you get married in a church. The entire ceremony is in a church. If you want a divorce, you go to the church. There's no divorce court, and divorce lawyers cease to have much income.
And if I could, because this is where I think some of the what I call this kind of pseudo-Christian culture comes into play, especially in the 50s and 40s, where, again, because of how much we pressured people to be in marriage in order to have, it always used to be that, you got to put a ring on her if you want to make her an honest woman, right? There was all these kinds of sayings of, and what ended up happening is, instead of people going and doing the prescribed method for that, which would be to go to a church, hopefully they're already in a church and they have a clergy person that would be able to help them with that, that they would go through that method, and then they'd get marriage counseling. It's funny how many non-denominational churches don't even do marriage counseling anymore. But the other thing is, what had happened is, because of our need to try to deal with this idea of, well, we need to have marriage as a cultural and societal institution, forced upon it more than it in the religious sense. What happened is that people said, okay, well, if I'm going to have to do it, then I don't have a church. And I'm, and a lot of people would get married in a rush. That's why they'd go to the judge, right? You could always find a judge somewhere that would be willing, to sign off on it. And then now people go to the courthouse and just sign off on it. So they literally don't have to do anything to get married. All they have to do is just sign that they're together. And so this culture, this fake culture created this need to expedite it. And instead of doing it, now part of that is I think people were trying to find an out. And no matter what you do in trying to enforce culture, you're always going to have people trying to find an out for that, so that they don't have to like go through the method of, you know, going to a pastor and talking to a pastor and going and getting counseling and going through a prescribed method where it takes longer. It's funny to me that a lot of people would say you need to wait 10 days before you buy a gun, but you don't need to wait 10 days before you enter into a marital contract. That to me is absurd. But I think it's interesting because that's a cultural thing for sure.
Vegas. I mean, yeah, again, I don't know why any secular person would want to get married. I don't see that. I don't understand that. There's no benefit to it for them. I fail to see why.
Got a culture
for the
of
male,
kids being born out of wedlock anyway, right?
Well,
so wouldn't that does that indicate that there's marriage is not, with secularism, marriage is not that big of a deal anyway?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's accurate.
For the male, there's no real benefit other than tax purposes, but I do understand making a female happy. To females, it's a status symbol. It's something that they really want. It's something that they dream about from when very young age, and I think that that's okay to give them that. And honestly, I don't see a problem with it.
But marriage is a religious device. It's not a
to some. To some, it's just a contract.
Then that wouldn't be marriage. That's the point.
Yeah, that's not marriage. That's a contract. I mean, you can call it that, I guess, but it's not really marriage, right?
I mean,
one would be a secular contract, and one would be like a religious contract. So one would have the overarching presence of God, and the other would have the overarching presence of the government.
Yeah, for me, for example,
either way, there's a superior power over either of those. Correct?
Yeah, I think that's true. I'm an agnostic myself, so I mean, it's whatever. My wife is a Christian, and I mean, our marriage, I don't think our marriage is any different than anybody else's marriage.
But obviously, you go into it for different reasons, so it obviously is, right? I mean, I don't know anybody that goes into a religious relation or goes into a religious marriage and says, "Well, I'm gonna give them the marriage because it's a status symbol to them." Like, there are people who make a status symbol out of it, but I don't know anybody that would good clergy that would caution anybody to have that kind of disposition towards it.
Well, it's also because I love her and I want to show her that I love her that much. So I give her the marriage because that is what I want to do, because I want to be married to her. I don't see a problem with that.
But you don't want to be married before the eyes of God.
I'm agnostic. So, I mean, maybe.
Right. So you don't want to be married before the eyes of God?
I mean, what do you mean? I got married in a church.
Okay. But you don't believe that is a religious institution, that God blesses the marriage, that it's a sin to get divorced. It's, you know, that you don't believe in any of the rest of it. So the problem is that it's a pick and choose thing, right? It's always a pick and choose things, especially in modern world, right? Like, we just want to add to cart the pieces that we want, and we want to walk out and forget the rest. And this is why I think that on a political level, because I'm not really trying to get into relationship stuff here. We keep going down rabbit holes, which is fine.
That's where marriage bifurcates, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Well, very no, good. Sir. I didn't want to get onto that level.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking about you specifically. We all do it. We all.
Yeah, I just think that marriage is it's a thing that you do when you love somebody and you want to show them how much you love them. You show them that you want to be married to them. Yes, you get married in front of the eyes of God. I have enough respect for religion, even though I'm not religious, to get married in a religious sanction, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
Okay, so my question though is that now, although you don't hold it to the same degree as your wife, would you do you still value it the same as your wife? Like, is the like for her, like since it's her biblical, like her religious belief, right? So for her, it's like no marriage or no divorce unless there's infidelity or abandonment by a spouse that's a non-believer, right? Like if those are the tenets to her faith, right, that would permit divorce if there was a divorce, right? Do you value and hold those same like standards, right? So because like I say, like if you're like, well, you know what, I believe in no fault divorce and I just think that, you know, I want out, right, for whatever reason. She's like, well, I can't do that because that is against my belief system here. Like we gotta work this out. Like, so do you, although you did the ceremony in the church, do you still hold the same value? Is its value to you the same is the question?
I do, because it holds value to her, and I respect her more than I respect I guess my absence of claims. I know that to her, marriage is a very religious thing, so I respect that. Even when she has other religious things outside of marriage that she wants to do, like praying over the food every day before she eats it, we still do that. Even though I don't believe in it, we still do that. It's out of respect for her, and it's out of respect for her religion. Like I said, I still respect religion, even though I don't believe in it.
So anyway, actually, I do have something. So, man, were you married in the U.S. or in Korea?
I married my wife in the United States.
Okay, all right.
I brought her to the United States to marry her. Yes.
Oh, I that was not what I
actually we got married. Damn, we actually got married twice. Now that I think about it, we got married in the U.S. and because I wanted to have my child in the U.S. and then we got married in Korea too. So actually, we got married twice. Now that I think about it.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay.
Both times in the church.
Okay. Very interesting. So you're. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so the idea of getting rid of the no fault divorce thing, I think, is I'm sorry, I had somebody message me. I got distracted. I apologize. It happened, it just happens. People, I don't know why they do this, but I can't even actually read it because I'm.
Does the person know that you're live streaming when they give you that message?
They do. They do.
Oh gosh. Oh,
that's, that's one of the first things you can do is tell somebody you've got a stream or you've got a podcast or something, because immediately they will start texting you.
So the other thing is, so most of the things in the 2025 mandate, if you want to call it that, are really not doable, right? Getting rid of no fault divorce. That's a state issue. It's not a federal issue. So the president, beyond just bringing we shouldn't be, what's the right word I'm looking for? I don't know. We
should be optimistic about some of these things. It's kind of like the same thing like that Biden does when he's talking about forgiving student
it's not really the right
loan.
word.
He'll say, well, I'm going to forgive student loan, and he can't do it,
Yeah.
And he knows that to get people going,
Can I ask a question about no fault divorce?
Yeah.
I just really don't know a lot about it because I've never been divorced, thankfully. Does that mean like you don't have to pay the wife alimony or
no. So it's It was signed into law to expedite the backlog of divorce cases in California. That's where it originated from. So there was like a very extensive backlog of divorce cases, and to expedite it, let's say like if two individuals say, hey, we are not fighting over anything, we just want to get a divorce. No one cheated, no one, did anything foul, we just want out, right? Well, with the fault divorce, you'd have to prove fault. Somebody would have to be wrong, right? So then that takes a long court case, and there has to be proven with evidence, and so no fault expedited divorce. It just made it accessible for people to be able to get divorced and kind of like streamline the divorce process. Okay. But it cut the cost of divorce for individuals overall, because before you would have to pay 2 lawyers, right? And then they have to get their evidence to, support who did fault and who didn't do fault, right? And that could cost a lot of money. I think when James Sexton was on Stream with us a year ago, he was talking about how no fault is not the problem, right? Because all no fault did was allowed people to move on with the divorce faster, and it saved the individuals more money overall, rather than going through a whole divorce court trial. That's how he put it. Because he said like those divorces were going to happen either way. But what the problem is that now that with no fault, your wife could divorce you for no reason and still collect alimony and collect, your assets without having any reason to end the marriage. So it's like someone breaking a contract, and instead of being penalized for breaking the contract, they get rewarded.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, to me, that sounds mostly like people need prenups.
Prenups aren't ironclad. I want to read this. We will never overturn Roe versus Wade either. Oh wait, yeah, sure, we did that, but that's a federal thing. So the problem is that a lot of the things on the 2025 list are states' rights, and the president can't do anything about it. Now he can obviously campaign for it. He can put pressure. I've said this over and over, but just make up a random list of shit that you want someone to do that they can't do it is kind of fucking weird.
And this is part of the problem that I have with nationalism, is that it's forgetting these checks and balances that we have in our system with when it comes to state rights versus federal rights. And it's just kind of this idea of, well, if we just get the right guy in there, he'll pass a law and then everything will be okay. Everything will be all right. No, that's not how our country works. If you want to create a nationalist state to work that way, well, good luck trying to accomplish that, because it's going to be extremely difficult.
Right. And I agree with you.
Yeah. But I think that's one of the things that, unfortunately, as much as I appreciate nationalists and populists who are trying to make legitimate changes, and I would agree with them that the oligarchy and the elites and the structures are problematic. We can't also ignore the fact that the reason why Roe v. Wade, and this is the whole thing, everyone talks about Roe v. Wade, because everyone's like, well, this was a coup for pro-life. No, what it was an actual Supreme Court that was actually evaluating whether or not it was a constitutionally held thing, because it was passed under the idea of privacy, and they realized, no, you can't actually advocate for this as a constitutional right under the guise of privacy, and so therefore it is not a constitutionally protected activity.
Yeah,
that's all it meant. But this is kind of that nuance we're talking about that people are missing.
And one of the things that people don't realize about no-fault divorce, the reason that no-fault divorce is a thing is not because a woman necessarily is going to walk out with half your shit or profit from the deal. Because in a lot of cases, depending on where you're at, like in California, a woman can walk out with nothing but the shit she brought into the marriage, right? That's a very real thing, and maybe in a division of assets, and maybe not even that. So what No Fault really does is it encourages women to get a divorce where they normally wouldn't. That's the real problem with No Fault divorce. And and she has all of her little friends running around telling her, hey, you can just punch out, baby. You can get out of this. You don't need that man. And they'll pump her ass up, and then she'll end up with nothing. And Josie's raging in the chat about this, because I know she went through a divorce in California. I don't think she came out of it very well. And a lot of people don't, right? And Josie's obviously not one that went No Fault because of whatever, but there are a lot of women that go through divorce thinking they're going to get paid, and they don't. And this is just as bad for the women as it is for the men. We tend to, when we have this discussion, it's all about the men. It's all about, what women do to men and screw them over in divorces, which does happen. It happens all the time. I personally know people that are paying a lot of money to women who they should not pay money to, but it can screw women just as badly who didn't even want to actually get divorced. And I think that's the true tragedy of No Fault divorce. And I don't know that we need to dive down this well much more. Again, it's a state's right. We need to keep it a state's right. And I don't think the president can do anything about it. 2025 lists a lot of things which are more or less states' rights that would be great for the president to endorse. But realize that the reason those things are on that list, this is the fucked up thing. We keep talking about all of these things about like what the president could do as part of 2025. But here's the fucked up thing. He may not necessarily be able to do any of those things. But the idea is that people are stupid enough to think that he can. And leftists are stupid enough to think that this propaganda that's being used to show them that Trump wants an even more authoritarian state, that he wants even more power than he has. He wants all of these things to happen when he can't actually do that. He can't actually go do that.
Grid, in all due respect. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I
No, go ahead. That's fine.
I was just gonna say, in all due respect, I don't see women just getting divorced just because they can, because it's the same thing as a breakup, basically, because of No Fault divorces. I don't see that. But even if there is a divorce, I think that depending on how long you were married, a man should still pay alimony. I mean, you took that woman out of the workforce for a certain amount of years, and she had to raise a child, and that looks pretty bad on a resume when you say, I haven't had work in 6 to 8 years. So yeah, maybe a man should take that money and give it to her, not all of it, but enough for her to live the same lifestyle that she lived before. Now, No Fault divorce, I don't think that No Fault divorces are making women get divorced. I think that No Fault divorces just kind of make it easier, yes, but if they want to get divorced, they're going to get divorced either way.
Why do you think that? What makes you believe that? What evidence do you have to sustain that claim?
What evidence do I have to what?
Well, you just said that you don't think that's happening, but clearly it does happen, because we have people, even famous people, just get divorced for the fuck of it. They don't even give a shit.
Okay, well, they wanted to get divorced anyway. They wanted to get divorced anyway. It was never a matter of love at that point. If you marry somebody, you marry somebody because you love them.
I don't know that that's the case.
So
I don't know that it is.
But yeah, and that's why I can say you and I definitely don't have the same understanding of marriage. Our marriage.
Yeah.
You don't marry people because you love them. Am I wrong?
But that's not the primary reason.
What's the primary reason if you don't love them?
It depends. Are you a Christian or not?
I am not, but I do respect religion, but I am not.
Well,
Christian.
For people who have a Christian framework, there's a legitimate reason why we believe in marriage. There are societal reasons why certain things for marriage. I'm not saying love doesn't play a role, but this is the whole reason why we have a lot of divorces, because people go, well, I just don't love him anymore. Why not? It's because I don't feel the romance anymore. I don't feel the passion. Well, that's going to happen in every marriage. So, like, at some point, you get enough time under your belt, you put enough miles on the tires, they're going to start to kind of come off. So you have to constantly be engaged in making that relationship work. But people feel like
you better get
in. I'm sorry, but that's called being in a relationship. You have to constantly make your person love you. You have to show them why they're dating you in the first place. I always tell my wife, hey, we're married, but we're still dating. I'm always going to randomly bring you flowers. I'm always going to randomly make you smile. I'm going to do those little things for you. Why not? Why not make that person fall in love with you every day? Why does it have to be a thing of that person doesn't love me anymore? Well, show that person why they loved you in the first place. How is it hard?
My point is that a love can be based on a lot of people's view of love is emotional, and that is not the only aspect or reason to get involved in something that is an institution in the covenant like marriage. But if you don't think those things about marriage, then of course, if you think it's just about love, then you're going to say, look, if I choose to love you, and that's why I'm marrying you, then I guess I can choose to divorce you because I don't love you anymore, or I'm not in love with you anymore. And those understandings of what love is or isn't become part of the reason why people say, yeah, we're just two different people now. And it's, instead of being committed to each other or saying, I know exactly what we're doing when we do these things, when we say we're going to commit to each other before God and our families. So like I said, that's a different kind of concept, because this is, again, part of the problem, which is the very loose understanding of marriage and what that institution means.
Okay, so if it's not love, then what are the other reasons? Like, you can explain it to me. What are the other reasons?
Well, for one, there's an aspect of sanctification involved with the Christian, right? There's a personal sanctification that comes when you learn to sacrifice for your wife or your husband, when you learn to put their needs above yours. There's an understanding that it helps to safeguard you from indulging in sinful things. Now, it's not a guarantor, obviously, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't help with that. It's an honorable thing to do. It's the right thing to do. If you're going to engage in sexual activity, which a lot of people who are romantically involved do, they tend to have the ability to have kids. If you're going to have kids, you want to put them in a stable environment where they're going to benefit from having two parents. Marriage, if it's rightly done and respected, allows and creates for that.
Okay, so I would love to hear your input on this.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so arranged marriages last the longest. We already know that statistically they last the longest. They're the strongest marriages. There was no love prior to them. It was just, these are your values, these are my values, these are your goals, these are my goals. Our families, are both good families in good standing, and they like each other. This is a good match. And then you have no choice but to fall in love with the person over and over again. That's what it should be about. It shouldn't be about, I have chemical reactions with this person, therefore I'm going to ignore all the red flags, get married, and then when the chemicals even out and I see them for what they are, I'm going to leave them. And the hell with my kids, the hell with the family.
Well, it's also a failure to recognize that marriages go through cycles as well. And so I think that I was taught this when, we got married very young. And
Josie, if you want in, you better get in, because I'm going to take a break for a couple of minutes and let Glenn run the panel, and he can't let you in. So get off your butt.
Had an old wiser guy. I think he said that, if you can make it, I think he said something about if you can make it through the first 10 years or something along that lines, and that is because you have to kind of buckle down and tough it down and do what you got to do, because those 10 years give you enough time to realize those cycles, right? And it's so like you're putting a minimum on it. So it just to kind of jump onto what Kat was saying there about learning to love or whatever, falling in love with that person all over again or whatever. It's because of those cycles. Is a lot of times when that happens, because you're growing with that person as well. I had something I wanted to jump in on with Restro down over there, because there's something that's bothering me that you said, and maybe I'm not understanding. So I'm definitely not arguing with you or trying to debate you here.
Oh no, go ahead.
But you said that the man should give the woman the alimony because she had basically all that service for years to him to keep her in the lifestyle she was in. Well, when you go through a
Yes.
divorce, you take one household and break that into two at that point. And with the same amount of income coming in, you can't keep the same type of lifestyle in two households. The math just doesn't work. So in a situation where the woman, be it no fault divorce or whatever, says, I'm tired, I just don't love you anymore, get the heck out of here, kick rocks, I'm done, and the woman has checked out, that would mean that the man is going to have to live an inferior lifestyle for no fault of his own to keep her in the same lifestyle that she was in. And I'm just confused by that. It's like the man is at that point getting punished for the woman not wanting to be in marriage anymore. Just seems weird to me.
No, I wouldn't say the man is necessarily getting punished. I would say that first of all, if there was a divorce in this situation, then it would probably be something that he could have. Oh shit, my headphones just died, but hopefully y'all can still hear me. It's probably something that he could have handled on the back end, and my headphones are back. It's probably something that he could have handled before the divorce even started, first of all. And second of all, I think yes, because I don't know a job or a company that's going to hire somebody who's been out of work for 8 years and the only thing that they can put on their resume is I was a housewife, because that's what most people want. And I mean, most people in this sector, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, most of y'all just want them to be traditional housewives, and I don't see a problem with that. But if you want her to be a traditional housewife and then you divorce her, or she wants a divorce, and then 8 years later she's never had a job and her resume is completely blank, I'm pretty sure you should try to help her out.
Can we engage with the I know I'm just trying to understand you better. So can we engage with a hypothetical? Because I do not disagree with you.
Okay, we can engage with that, but
shouldn't.
I'm sorry. Okay, we can engage with that. Grid, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Grid? I'm just gonna say this once, and I don't bring this to. I do not do this shit. I did not attack his kids. He's making shit up. I'm sorry. Let's continue with the fucking conversation.
Okay. May I add something, if you don't mind? A lot of people seem to be confused or to mix marriage, divorce versus child support. I would like to clarify that whether or not you are married, if you make a baby, you are in charge of that kid financially at the bare minimum for the next 18 years, whether you are married or not, whether you own a house together or not, whether you are rich or not. So all the shit that I hear about divorces and marriage, it's not the worst part, really. It's when you have a kid together, that's when it wrecks you, okay? And you really don't need to be married for it to. I mean, there's no marriage required. Like, child support is child support.
I mean, facts, yeah.
All right,
facts.
retro,
I mean, that's
retro.
facts.
Back to ours.
Yeah.
Okay, so I agree with you on that. Both parties, in that marriage, both sides should put in the work. Marriage is work. When anybody asks me, define marriage in one word, work is the first one that always comes to mind. Not love, it's work. So, and I just say that coming from 30 years and about 2 weeks of marriage, and
congratulations,
about 3 weeks away from divorce. Just to give you background on me real quick, because I understand that you're married and not divorced too, but I was almost there. We were 3 weeks away, about 6 to 8 years in. So I totally understand and agree that there are things you can do if you put in the work. Even if you're staring down the barrel of that kind of divorce, there's ways of potentially turning it around. I agree with you that. In the hypothetical where there is not, where it is, whatever has happened with that woman, again, we get back to that particular hypothetical. And I'm not real sure how often that occurs or not. There are certainly people in the, the peel spaces, whatever you want to call them, that will say it happens all the time. There's others that say it doesn't happen that often. And I don't know the numbers on it. But for a woman to basically kick you to the curb and you've done everything that you could try to do, but she's not putting in the work, and then you're going to keep her lifestyle at the detriment of continuing to live your life in any kind of significant way. Like, again, that in that hypothetical, that makes no sense to me.
I think you're latching onto the lifestyle part, which is okay. I understand. Maybe it won't be her full lifestyle, maybe half of it, but I still think that you need to.
Well, that makes a big difference. Just you acknowledging that or saying that, like, that makes my understanding of what you said much more solid. So,
Yeah. I think we're latching onto the lifestyle part.
Well, here's
but
the
I don't
thing
think
is
she shouldn't
that-
have to get on welfare, I think, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she
Right.
shouldn't just be cast out to the streets. I mean, because, like, I
Right.
mean, what is she
Okay.
gonna do? Like, imagine yourself in that
Oh,
situation.
all right, hold. I gotta duck out for just 1 minute, but let me. I have a question about that. So,
Yes.
if a man gets if a man and woman get divorced, and the woman takes a chunk of his pay that he was already stretching to make ends meet, or to have ends meet, and now he cannot make ends meet, and he lives on the street, is that okay? Because he's having to give this woman who potentially is doesn't need the money, or maybe she does, but she can work just as much as he can. Why?
So
These
no,
are
that is
the
not
issues that I have
so-
with all of this nonsense.
Yeah, there is a problem with that because what they will do usually in like South Central
I'll be
or like
back in a
not
few.
so
Guys, be
like,
decent to each other.
will be nice. I'll try. So my friend Byronique, she grew up in like Carson and Compton area, which is it's pretty like low income. Let's say what the people low income people do in the hood is basically they just stop working, collect like social security money because basically taxpayers are going to take care of paying the child support, because once you start working, if you earn money, you're basically going to live out of your car, so you get a better deal out of being unemployed and like not having a job. Which is like there's a gap here. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous, which is why I have a problem when Brian on the Whatever podcast says, well, if women can get an abortion, I think that men should opt out of child support. Okay, then who do you think is gonna pay for that kid? Other man? So you can be a fucking Dusty? Come on. You do that shit, imagine how like those dudes in the hood are going to be rolling. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I just feel like we shouldn't. If there's a divorce, I'm pretty sure that people have thought about those things before they initiated a divorce. People just don't wake up and just be like, I want to get divorced. There's something that is, and I'm sorry for anybody that's been through a divorce or going through a divorce. I don't mean to trigger anybody, but I'm just saying that there is something that triggered that, started that, and initiated that. Period. So
I just want to tell the chat I am not in favor of men doing that. I think it's like fucking disgusting. Like, having taxpayers pay for your mistakes is not good. I didn't move to the United States away from socialism to live in socialism. I didn't do that. Anyways.
I do think that I said earlier that I think marriage is too easy in a lot of ways. I believe divorce is too easy as well.
True. Oh, I'm the only one with my camera on. Let me turn my shit off.
Has anyone here gone through a divorce on this panel besides Glenn?
I was 3 weeks away from it being final. So I haven't been completely through a divorce, but I've been up until 3 weeks for the judge to sign the papers.
And what's your point in asking that question, Josie?
No, I just want to know because there's a lot of people who talk about divorce like they know exactly how it is, because there's a lot of misinformation being spread regarding divorces online especially, which is why I would recommend, if you just want to know anything about the law, first you need to look within your state because it varies from state to state. So if you want to actually know what laws are in effect or how it works, like as today's date in your state, a lot of lawyers have a free first consultation, and you are more than free to book that consultation just for knowledge, not because you're looking into getting a divorce. There are lots of people who reach out to those lawyers because they have like podcasts or they do interviews and they want to know the facts. It's also good for business. So I do recommend that, maybe if you want to take part in that type of conversation,
are you saying that people who've never been divorced should not speak about divorce?
Well, no, they should at least get the facts straight from the horse's mouth,
Okay. Sorry. I won't then. I do believe, since I can't speak on divorce anymore, I do believe that before people get married, they should go through at least like a month of like marriage or couples therapy or counseling or something, just to make sure that they're compatible and they know how to be a compatible couple, whether that's through the church or if they're not religious, maybe that's through like a psychiatrist or a psychologist, something like something to make sure that
test out there, like the bare minimum is good. Any sort of prep is good.
I think, a lot of people understand the process of divorce from a general sense, but the extensive like in-depthness of what goes through a divorce hearing is more, it's different than what but those that have not experienced it would understand. So the divorce is a very horrible thing. Like we got to just acknowledge that, like
for both men and women, regardless. Like it's fucking
parties,
awful. There's no way like women benefit from going through that. Shut the fuck up.
Right. Well,
please.
And I agree with that. Like I think there's things that if I do not know the people who have gone through, I've never had that personal experience of gone through a divorce, and so I can't say, well, I know from this, obviously I can only go with what I hear from other people who've gone through it and all those things. My big concern was, and I'm not saying this is what Josie was going to say, but it sounded like she was going to give us the same damn fucking tripe that I hear when people say you can't talk about abortion because you don't have a uterus. Like that, when we get to these things of talking about morality things and say, well, if you're not this disqualifies you automatically. That's what I was worried about if she was going to get into that, because that.
Oh, no. I'm just saying that like there's a lot of misinformation being spread out there that is just like, don't be like spreading stuff that isn't true, because I found out the hard way that people be talking out of their asses when it comes to divorce, because I thought that I knew some things that turned out to not be true as I was going through it myself. So
yeah.
Don't make
my
mistakes.
I will say that like overall, historically, women tend to fare better in the divorce hearing than men, traditionally speaking, especially when it comes to custody of the children. Although they say that they do what's in the best interest of the child, that's typically not so, or they go based off of a accepted belief that children are better off with the mother, naturally, right? And that's not very accurate, actually. If you look at statistics, when it comes to children and abuse, typically majority of the abuse, statistically speaking, tends to result from a single mother home, either by the single mother or by the individuals that the single mother brings around her children.
Facts.
So
I was just gonna say that.
So when it comes to the best interest of the child, statistically speaking, single father homes tend to raise better children overall compared to single mothers. They tend to do better in schooling. They tend to go pursue college, and they tend to be higher earners and have less issues with law enforcement.
Well, and the other aspect of that too, Glenn, is I've seen this a lot in some of these videos. When you see a woman or a mom who is trying to discipline her children and she resorts to screaming, there's this over aggressiveness that women take when they're trying to naturally try to take on natural authority that's not given to them. Like, and they've done studies on this with like the cadence of your voice, right? Children instinctively, when they hear their dad talking, that are raised with dads, like they hear that male voice and it instantly connects. Dad's mad, dad's upset. Women, they have to usually elevate their voice, and it's been a known fact that the higher women's voices go, for especially men, the register, it's lower for them to listen to. And I think so when you're trying to be both the nurturer and the enforcer, it's difficult to have both of those. Now, I'm not saying I haven't known women to do that. There are some rare exceptions, but for the most part, I think it's very extremely difficult.
Yeah, you're actually right. It's difficult, but it's not impossible, but it is very difficult.
I apologize. I had to go sign for something, and the UPS guy was really getting pissed. So
FedEx
whatever.
all the way.
Yeah, he would have just like fucking left. The UPS guy likes me. Where are we at in this in the discussion?
I guess we were talking about like single fathers and single mothers who can raise them better. Am I wrong? Anybody? Am I the only one? Am I the only one?
I think we were talking about the overall effects of divorce on the family and the effects on the children, and how the divorce laws or family court, the way that it is set up now, is tends to, when it comes to child custody, tends to be adversarial, basically, for men.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
My bad. I was thinking about the last thing we were talking about. I think that kids should be left out of the divorce. I think that, like, they should be able to see their mother and their father, period. Like, that kid had nothing to do with the problems that you had in the relationship. 100%. There's no reason to take a kid from either parent unless they are abusive or they are just unfit to raise that kid. Period.
That would be ideal, but you got to realize, unfortunately, like typically speaking, that since it's the mother that tends to get the custody, the fact that 37% of all false allegations are made within family court to limit the father primarily to access to the child. It's a means to weaponize the courts against the father to hurt him. Like, a mother's hurt or a mother's anger or hatred towards the father tends to be greater than the love for her child.
Yeah, and I've seen that bear out in an interesting way. So I used to be in the moving industry and worked at a self-storage facility, and I saw this woman, and it was so important to her to screw her ex-husband over that when basically they had a shared storage unit, she took her stuff out, moved to another city, and he got some of his stuff out, but most of the stuff that was there was like stuff that she couldn't take because of there being a court filing on it. And then it was the kids' stuff. And it was close to Christmas. And, given the regulations I had to do, I couldn't just let him have access because she was the person's name on the account. But what she did is she basically said, I'm not going to pay for it. And she was willing to let us have to auction that storage unit out just so she could give a big middle finger to her ex. And I can remember when the guy came, because he's like, well, I like to pay the bill on it, but I would like to have access. I said, I'd love to be able to make you pay the bill, but you're not going to be able to get access to it because she has still her name on there. So when we did do the auction, I told the auctioneer, I said, hey, we've got this guy. The only thing his kids want for Christmas, they don't want all these new toys. They don't want they want the toys they had that the mom was using as a wedge against him. And I hear this a lot from I like to watch a lot of courts, and Judge Boyd's one of my favorite out of Texas. She says, you have to love your children more than you hate your ex. And that is so true, because basically we were able to get the toys, but for her to just that hate for her ex-husband was so more than the love for her kids. That was insane. I was like holy cow. How could anyone
if you ever want to lose faith in humanity, go to divorce court and watch for a day. Just sit there and watch. You will lose all faith in humanity. because evil exists. Yeah, that's all interesting stuff. The new SAVE Act that just passed in Congress. Anyone familiar with that? Nope. Bozeman? Bueller? Everybody's Googling as fast as they possibly can. So
I know a little bit about it. I don't know much. I just know it's about isn't it about non-citizens voting or something like
that? Yeah, it's the Non-Citizen Voting Act, so that the illegals can vote in the next election coming up. It's in
until they can translate all that woke stuff. They're all going to vote Republican.
Well, Grid, thank you for having me up. I'm gonna drop down now. It is almost 5 o'clock in the morning for me, so I do need to get some sleep. I appreciate it. My first time on your panel. Thank you so much. Glenn, salute everybody else on here. All right. Hopefully, I will be back soon. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good day.
Big yours.
All right. I'm not really sure what happened between him and Easy. I think Easy kind of wanted to come up and chat about it, but and that's cool, you know.
I think it was regarding his kid, so like.
Yeah, I think it was, and so I honestly don't want to get involved in it.
Yeah.
But you know, and there's Easy now, so we swapped one for the other. Easy, he dropped just literally a minute ago.
Yeah, I know. I saw.
Good to see you, Easy. Good to see you, brother.
What's up,
Yeah,
Easy?
good to have you on the panel. I had to have you on the panel in a minute, dude.
Do you have
Yeah,
Tim Hortons today?
I'm usually out at this time. I'm usually out doing something at this time. But the what I said in the chat, there was no lies there. The dude is a part of the little X mod crew, along with this Saggy and the Tats in the chat here.
Yeah, I've got.
This is part of the X mod crew that went around fucking saying a bunch of fucking lies about me, saying I was a grifter. I was telling them behind the scenes that I was trying to milk people for money. They will use my baby mom and my kids as a weapon against me. They're losers. They're fucking losers. And this is what they do. They go to all the spaces I go to, and they go there because they know if you're gonna be cool with losers like that, I'm not gonna come around. That's what they do. They literally do this on purpose. They did it with another creator. They're trying to do it here. There's millions of fucking channels. They all say they disagree with like the shit that I do, but they're all in the spaces that I'm at because they're fucking stalkers. They did it to me yesterday. Came into a chat that I was on panel of and started going, well, hey, why are you here debating? You should be debating the courts. You're gonna have to debate the courts with your baby mom, like bringing up stupid shit. They this is what they do. This is their whole fucking life is following me around to different channels doing this weird ass shit.
Crosses a line, you know.
Yeah, it does. It does for me anyway, because you know this channel is not. This is not a drama channel. I don't think I've ever made it a drama channel. So that's very interesting. Yeah, John's mic was hot.
Everybody loves drama besides you, Grid. Come on.
I know everybody likes it but me. So I appreciate drama. I just don't want it in my house. That's all. So Speakeasy Man, I'm not aware of what was going on. So you know, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know that if there's anything we can do about it or help you with. You know, obviously, if there is,
I can host a panel.
You can HUD the panel. You can what?
If you guys want to talk about it, talk it out.
No, there's nothing. You do whatever you want to do, right? It's your channel, your choices, all that. I'm just explaining to you what's going on, and if
I have no idea.
Like if that's gonna be a regular thing, I'm not gonna be a regular thing here, right? If you guys are gonna That's what I'm trying to say. Now, I'll say it straight up because I'm not someone that's gonna like be passive aggressive to you now because you guys hang out with this dude. None of that. I'll just say it straight up. You guys want to hang out with losers. I don't want to hang out with y'all. That's it.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
Like that's all they are. If I would have came up here and debated the topic, he would have turned it into drama. That's how it would have been.
Yeah.
Right?
I felt a little tendency though of going the emotional route.
Because that dude doesn't that dude doesn't debate. He doesn't do any of that shit. He's here playing a character.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not much on drama, so but yeah, I don't know that I honestly I'd never heard of the guy before till today.
Yeah, me
So
neither.
I'm not really sure of who he is, so obviously the you know, I know you more than I know him, so I would tend to believe you. And he.
Well, I think it was you, Grid, that was actually saying how like, yeah, I'm not gonna associate with people that go that.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, somebody. Yeah,
and shit like that. Yeah, that's the same thing, except this guy, these guys is 10 times worse than what Oracle was doing.
Yeah, so and that's like I won't go on a panel if I know Oracle's going to be on there, which is why I haven't been on Sarah's. Although I did, I went on there the other day. And it's not that I'm concerned about there being any kind of conflict or anything. I just don't want to give them any air. You know what I mean? Like I just don't want to be a part of it. So I get it. I personally won't. Yeah, I don't. I personally won't. You know, like I don't know. They were asking me to have him on. What's weird about this, I guess we kind of get a little bit. We got to have a little bit of drama here. What's weird is there were several people who were asking me to have him on.
Yeah, this is a part of their little plan. This is how they do this shit, Grid.
I was noticing that too.
They're trying to do it here too. Like they literally have all these places they could go, but they only go the places I'm at. This is what they do. This is literally like this Lauren in the chat here. She's a part of it too. Leopard Print just showed up. Watch all the names will start showing up now that we're even talking about it. This is they have no life. This is what they do.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah, Sarah's got a few like that. And I remember like they kind of reappeared in my chat. They would just spam the N-word.
Lauren, actually, I asked you, and you asked me if I would mind having Resto on. It was either you or Sweet Tea. I did not ask.
Lauren. Call your attorney, bitch.
So,
yeah, I think she was trying to gaslight you or something on that because it was like. Well, you asked him, and I was like, I didn't ever hear him ask unless there was some before I came on Glenn's panel. If you had said that to him, that would be the only reason why someone would think that is if there was firsthand knowledge. But no, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the case. So she's saying on Glenn's that you asked him about it. I don't know if you did or not, so I can't tell. But
yeah, Well, I can, Lauren, but I know what I did. And what I did was I was asking for people to come on, and I said, Lauren could come on. I wanted John, or I wanted Mosman to come on. And to be honest with you, the only two people I really wanted on the panel today was Mosman and maybe Glenn. Everybody else is just bonus, right? Mosman, I wanted to continue the political conversation we had last night. And I needed him to kind of push over, Kat, because Kat doesn't like political stuff. And Glenn's always on the show, Glenn's cool. But other than that, I really didn't ask anyone to be on the show at all.
Yeah.
I said people could come up. I still have the messages where Siege asked me if he was cool to come up. That was the first I heard of it. For $5, Sweet Aunt T messaged, I did for an alternative view to progress the discussion. Yeah, I don't need it on it. You know, to be honest with you, look, I don't know anything about the situation between Easy and this guy. So,
it's pretty obvious right now what I'm seeing. This kind of behavior, and I think it's
like the dude's made videos and little gay tracks about me. He's a loser, dude. Like, this is what he does. This is what they do. They claim they don't like drama, but all they do is go to drama channels and try to start drama in the channels I go to. This is all they do. This is their life.
So.
And yes, I did bring up the Resto thing because I let Grid know that I'm not going to be around here if Resto's going to be around here. That's simple. It's a fair thing. I don't know why you're crying about me bringing it up. Just yesterday, you were in the chat saying I'm going to debate my baby mom in courts. Just yesterday, bro. You're still doing it. You guys follow me to chats. You followed me up on a panel yesterday. Keep trying to lie, bro. Keep trying to lie. All the proof is out there.
Yeah. Clover, you're definitely, man. You're bonus material, bro. You're bonus material. It's awesome. You're awesome.
May I just say, understand you guys, these guys, they like to talk about maybe, guns, cars.
All right. Mods. Anybody calling people names, any of that nonsense, I'm done. They're gone. No warnings, just gone. If we can't keep it civil, they're gone.
Yeah,
Thanks,
like
Mod.
your chat has gotten annoying.
My chat is normally like chill. I have the best chat. Like people are always having a good time here. But
it's easy. I'm sure that there's so many people that just follow him around and they love just to stir crap on him. And you might think off of the surface that this is just Easy coming in hot and being upset, but like to me, these are kinds of things that happen when people are doing certain type of operations against people.
Yeah, I understand.
And I'm seeing this unfold, and I'm like, no, I get where Easy's coming from on this, and so it's pretty suspect to me. And
right, yeah, that's the thing is my chat's always been very chill. Everybody will attest to that. That's been here more than once, and this is I kind of keep this a low key stream. Big energy, low key, but the drama.
And this is why I even told you and brought it up is because I like coming here. I like you. I respect you. So, I'm gonna just be straight up about it rather than if I didn't like you or care, I'd just stop talking and stop coming here, right? But I actually have respect for you. So,
yeah, I appreciate that. I just don't, not cursing each other in the chat, that's not cool
for existing.
Anyway,
it's like if just understand you guys that not everybody likes that type of drama. If you want to argue anything,
is Josie just low? Is it just me?
I'm hearing her super low too.
Okay, there you go. That's way better.
Okay. If you guys want to argue anything on a neutral platform, I'm welcome. I'm more than happy to host it, but
look at Josie trying to milk the fucking drama.
I know, right?
Josie.
Grid is just not the place to do that. He's not into that.
Leave it to the woman. Leave it to the woman to fucking try to milk it.
Hey, fool. Come on, Tia wants her drama. Let her have it.
It also sounds like Josie wouldn't take a lot of crap either. So that's probably another reason.
And I can be pretty neutral too.
I'll
So
just ban everybody.
I can be pretty neutral, I guess, but just understand that Grid isn't into that. So if y'all got problems, Hit me up, okay?
Word.
I get priority to speak
If only
easy
somebody
because he
had a
drinks Tim
stream where
Hortons.
they
I'm a
could
bit
go and have
biased.
verbal judo and just like hash it out. If only such a place existed on the interwebs, on YouTube, where they could just like have a debate and an argument and settle it, and people could pay them money to do stupid things like change their name and shit. That'd be awesome. That'd be a great show.
Kind of like, like a verbal combat or something.
Verbal combat. That's what we could call it. That'd be great. Somebody should do that. We should totally do that.
And while you're at it, you could also spend enough money that you could fatality someone, and you should bring a lot of Mortal Kombat like images and transitions to it. I think it'd be
black guys who dance when you give $5.
You guys just came up with a really good idea, bro.
Yeah, you should run with that. You should run with that. There's no charge for that. There's no charge.
The cowboy hats dudes every time you give $5. That'd be a good idea.
I mean, at least make some money off of it, right?
Yeah.
And then have a guy wielding a prop axe and a pasty white Irish vampire. I think it would make it really. I love Tarek, by the way. He looks like a vampire.
Yeah, this is this thing too. This is like I've literally had all of them come on. They've came on to my panel, tried to explain their problems, and they just looked foolish in the end of it. So yeah, shout out to Solid Snake. Look at that. That's fucking gold.
Yeah, man. Look at that. Look at that.
Let's fucking go.
Gifting those memberships, man. Thank you, sir. Membership up, guys. Membership up. Get some cool emojis when you do that. And I had something for the crowd there. Let me see if I can find it again. I got it here somewhere. Just give me 1 second. There it is, right there. There you go. Just get you some of that. All you guys in the crowd, have some copium on me. Just enjoy that.
Wow.
Yep. How you doing, Easy?
I'm doing good. I was just actually I was the conversation. That's what I was gonna originally do, is I was gonna join in the conversation about you guys were talking about no fault divorce at one point.
Yeah.
No, that's
just in the interest of clarity, I did not run Resto off. He, matter of fact, I told him in the private chat that he would that if he wanted to drop because you were going to come on, he wanted respect the channel and all that. And I'm like, Easy said it's cool, man. Don't worry about it. But he dropped anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. It's an interesting thing.
Yeah, because he won't yesterday when he came on to start his shit, he brought something up, and I said, okay, let's debate it then. And he didn't want to debate. He doesn't want to debate things. He wants to just start issues. That's what his whole thing is. Yeah, let's go, Jade.
Yeah, thank you, Jade. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Good to see you in the chat.
You moved your studio, I noticed.
I didn't. I just changed it. I changed it like every week or two.
Huh.
It's getting to be a trend. I change it. Sometimes I'll have the flag. Sometimes I have the black backgrounds.
Did you change your mic?
I'm on. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the two mics I use. Yeah.
Okay.
This is
that one sounds better.
Sounds better. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, at least with StreamYards. I don't know about other softwares, but
no, it's a good mic. It's actually a really good mic. I like it better than the Shure. I have the Shure, the M7, but I like
that's
this
not
mic.
a XLR.
How much was that mic there, Grid?
A couple $100.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a Rode Pod mic. And I got this one because it has both XLR and USB-C connections.
Oh, nice.
So when I do when I have and I don't use a mixer in here. If I have a mixer, I can use the XLR. When I don't have the mixer, I can just use the USB-C, and I don't need a cloud lifter. I don't need any kind of switch box to USB it into the laptop.
Oh, but get yourself one of those because XLR sounds smooth.
Well, it is XLR.
No, but like if once you get like your mixer like set up with the XLR cable and everything and mixer, and I mean the difference in sound is just like, I think Jake,
you're right. It is better to have the mixer for sure if you can.
Just
right?
listen to Jake's audio, like how like
it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
I see Dano in your chat saying something about the memberships don't show up. So if you don't have your channel where like people can see who you're subscribed to, sometimes when you get a membership, it won't pop up in the chat because you don't allow it to be public who you're subscribed to. So your membership won't pop up in the chat. Yep. But for 25 of them not to pop up, that's a little bit weird. I can't lie.
There might be bugs. Sometimes they bug.
But yeah, YouTube's chat has been really weird. I've been having people in my chat saying they've had to reset their chat while they're in live stream because the chat will freeze on them. And then the other day in StreamYard, it wasn't auto starring my super chat, so like I had to fucking make sure I was hitting the star on them so that it would go over to that section. So yeah, I think there's something going on with YouTube right now. This is they have problems every fucking other month.
So were you saying that if you have like something with your settings that you won't be able to get memberships or see memberships?
See them. So when I get gifted memberships, when I've got a gifted membership in someone else's thing, it doesn't show up. I just get the gifted membership, but it doesn't announce it in the chat because like I don't show who I'm like you can't go to my channel and see who I'm subscribed to, but you can if you have that setting turned on, then it'll announce it in the chat.
Okay, so if I wanted to, because I don't know if I get membership because every time I see people give memberships, usually you just have to click at the green button at the top to claim it, but I haven't been able to claim it.
Have you ever hit the allow gifts and stuff?
Yeah, I had a long time ago. I don't know if I've done it in a while, but
have you did it in each chat? So like the allow gifts is only for the chat you're in. So like if you're in grids, you have to hit allow gifts in grids chat.
Yeah. And where's that at again? It's in the top.
Well, if you look at the gifted memberships, it'll usually give you an option there. When someone gives memberships, there'll be a little spot there that says allow gifts. So you hit that, or you go at the very top of the chat, the options, and then you can go there too.
Two Wills, it's show by show, so you have to turn it your chat on to show or accept gifts for every chat that you're in.
Yeah.
So it's not just one, although there is, I think that it's supposed to be global, but YouTube is really
it's really weird.
You just need to turn on.
And if you're a brand, and this is right too, if you're a brand account, you can't get memberships.
That's right.
I never get memberships. So.
You have a brand account? Why?
Do I have a brand account? I never get memberships because I'm usually already a member, I think. So
you don't watch
if you gift memberships and you don't yet have a membership, it'll usually give you one of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The other day, someone gifted one membership, but they weren't a member yet, so it just gave it to himself.
Yeah, it's not allowing me this. I'm not even seeing where it shows up on the accept gifts anymore. So it's weird.
We actually reached the point in my stream that like we get more gifted subs than viewers, than live viewers. So I'm just like, where do they go when there's not enough viewers?
It'll go to your other subs, and then if you like if you were to get all your subs as members, it would just reach out to other channels and get what they call, there's a name for it, like basically like a family of your channel. I forget the name.
Oh, yeah, the recommended channels.
Yeah.
Featured, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What is wrong with my YouTube?
Neat stuff. Well, Easy, man, I'm glad you're doing well. I've seen, man, you've been doing a lot of verbal combat lately.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of open.
I've been doing the open panels hopping recently. It's
yeah,
the crowd seems to like
how does
those.
that work? How does that work out?
It works out good sometimes. Like yesterday, we had some good talks, and then there was some really fucking wild ones.
Yeah. Are you doing that on TikTok or YouTube?
I'm sticking to YouTube for now.
Okay.
I'll eventually make my way over to the Twitter and the TikTok so that I can start reaching those debate panels too.
I started doing.
It's harder to
TikTok
find
invasions.
people on the left doing debate panels on YouTube for some reason. It's like
Oh God!
I don't
Start
run
doing
into
TikTok
it too much.
invasions. There are plenty of those.
Yeah, that's why on TikTok when you go search the debate panels, it's all left people. So it's like, yeah, I got to start going
I
into
get
there.
so triggered. Like they're so annoying.
You get triggered? Or they
Oh,
get
you should have
triggered?
seen the other day, because
Oh,
like
boy.
your tone is very condescending, and that she or he, I don't
friend,
fucking know, like waited like talking super slow to speak for like 5 minutes straight, proceeded to like boot me. I'm like, you wanted to hear yourself talk for 5 minutes and proceeded to boot me. What a bitch.
Step fire in your chat. They're referencing one of the debates I had. Well, it wasn't really a debate. I was just like debunking what these people, because they had these pictures of pterodactyls and during the Civil War. I was like, you guys are fucking crazy to believe this. Like I was pointing out all the obvious Photoshop of the photo, but they were convinced. They were convinced during the Civil War there was pterodactyls being cut.
That's pro level trolling right there. Pro level. I'm gonna have to find a picture of a pterodactyl in a Civil War uniform. Pro level.
Shit.
Yeah. That's
Just tell me what epistemology means.
Oh, a topic I did join a panel to talk about yesterday. I wonder what you guys think of this. You guys know anything about the Alec Baldwin case?
Which one?
Alec Baldwin, where he shot the chick on the movie scene.
Yeah.
Let me read this really quick.
Yeah.
Solid Snake for $5, man. $5 whole dollars. I just got an apprenticeship in graphics design. I'm going to pump up my work hours to 65 hours a week. That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Based.
That's where you got to do it, man. Get put the hours in.
Get your bag.
So you were saying, speak. I'm sorry, man. I interrupted you.
Oh, no worries. The Alec Baldwin case. I was just talking with some people yesterday about it, and like I think he should be found guilty for the involuntary manslaughter because he had the gun in his possession. He didn't check it, and he aimed it at someone and fired. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that he should be charged for involuntary manslaughter. But there's people that seem to think because he's on a movie set, it's solely on the armorer and he shouldn't face anything.
Yeah, he. I'm surprised Clovertac hasn't already been up here. So, has not already popped in because it's a gun discussion about a gun case. But here's here's the interesting thing is that they should have found him guilty because there was no reason for him to be pointing at the person he was pointing at. He wasn't acting in the scene, and there was definitely no reason for him to fire the weapon.
Right.
And it's
you're right. It was a pre-scene. It wasn't even a scene being shot.
They were just standing around talking. Like they were just like, you're going to walk over here. You're going to walk over there. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And for just some fucked up reason, he pulls out a gun and
well, that's why I'm saying it. I feel like there has to be an intentional thing going on here because all of the things that we see in the industry that protect against, and Glenn can probably speak about this too, but there's so many different I mean, since the whole Brandon Lee situation, it's been almost virtually impossible for this thing to occur on a movie set. And it's all of the precautions they have. Either way, he's liable. The question is, how much is he guilty of? And to me,
I think because like gun safety, man, like the whole point is when you have the gun, you're supposed to treat it as if it's loaded. You're not supposed to treat a gun as if it's empty and aim it at people and shoot them in the face. Like
yeah, before
well, that's not exactly the safety rule. That's the shortened version that everybody uses.
Well, yeah, I
the actual
shortened
version
it. Yeah, go ahead.
You're not supposed to do those things until, like, if you took your wording of that rule, which is what admittedly that's what most people use. I get it, because you give them the short version and expect them to know the longer. But how do you ever clean a gun or maintain a gun, right? So once it's verified that it's unloaded, it's safe, then, I mean, at that point you can proceed. But then if it changes hands, if you ever set that gun down and pick it back up, the process starts all over again.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
So in the context of Baldwin, the issue is he's not just an actor that was holding the gun, right? Well, he was the producer, he wore many hats with that, which lots of actors do. It's not anything uncommon. But he had additional levels of responsibility above just being the actor that was holding the gun. And so you got to keep in mind that that's going to come into play as well. And then the armorer they chose was a very low tier armorer to start with. The way that the security around the prop guns on the set was done. And I mean, that's the armorer, but Baldwin should have had awareness and known and corrected any issues with that.
And that's because he's not a gun guy. If he was a gun guy, he would know proper way of dealing with a gun, of how when you point it.
But he has been on set with
he's been on set like a long time.
Well, but there's a trust there that when you're using it in a scene or whatever, then you've gone through a process.
I mean, it was a negligent discharge, and so in a negligent discharge implies negligence. So there's some responsibility there. There's something there. Now, from a criminal, legal perspective, like I don't know what'll end up being found, or if anything will be found, or whatever. But you gotta bear some responsibility. And originally, he was really nice to the family of that chick, and everything. So I think, and his reactions, like immediately following that, right? It kind of alluded to the fact that it did mess him up a little bit. I mean, he understood the brevity of the situation and that there was negligence and it was something horrible that happened. So I don't know.
I think Glenn's been on movies with guns before. That's why I actually tried to message him last night to come talk about it, because I thought he would have some personal experience. Because I know he's been on movie sets with guns I'm pretty sure the one that it was, there might have been guns involved, because it's a bunch of police officers stuff.
Yeah, I have as well. We used to. There's a railroad line that runs through here. Matter of fact, it runs through my property, and it's been basically a tourist line for years. But I think they built it, or they become a tourist line back in I don't know when it was built, back in the 70s or something. The state took it over and it became a tourist line. But anyway, there's been numerous movies over the years that were shot on there, and I mean, there's always actors around, when that's going on, other things. And then when I got into, was in the volunteer fire department, because it is a steam engine that they run, it needs water. And so we would always get paid by the production company, the whatever, to come out not only for to provide water, but in case that with pyrotechnics or other things there was a fire, right? So yeah, I've been on sets before, and most of those are westerns. Obviously with steam engine drains, and so like I've been around what that security and stuff's supposed to look like. Now, I don't have any experience obviously with the set of Rust and Baldwin. All you can go is on, what's been reported and what people have said, and it's a horrible It wasn't just one bad mistake. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
There was like
No, there was
multiple mistakes
multiple.
because
yeah.
even on the
And
movie
Baldwin
sets,
is claiming that he didn't pull the trigger. That's because of smoking in the chat. There's talking about how they were smashing the gun because like they did like a smash test to see if the gun could go off by itself.
Yeah.
I don't believe him whatsoever. He had to have pulled the trigger.
No. So he could be right by the words he's using and the knowledge base he has. He could be not lying. This is an issue I have that rubs people the wrong way sometimes because they're like, "Oh, you're siding with Alec Baldwin." No, I'm not fucking siding with Alec Baldwin. But I'm saying if he doesn't have the knowledge to articulate what he's thinking or what's in his mind correctly about that gun, right? Then I mean that's not lying. And so the word pull is going to be the problem. We run into this with the bump stock case in the Supreme Court, the difference between pulling the trigger and activating a trigger, right?
Yeah.
And so I did a couple of videos on my channel with this. And while there has to be some type of outside force, assuming that the firearm is in proper working order, right? We've got to assume that. And according to the FBI or whoever did their test on that, that was the case. They deemed it to be in proper working order. Assuming that's in proper working order, there's a series of clicks and notches having to do with the hammer and the safety and the trigger that will prevent that from firing unless some type of outside force acts on the trigger. So while he may not have pulled the trigger, he could have brushed the trigger, right? He could have, you know, we're talking about, it didn't mean he didn't touch it in a way that activated the trigger, if that makes sense.
So
you could push the trigger, you could brush the trigger, you could do a lot of different things. That's why you keep your finger out of the fucking trigger guard until you're ready to shoot.
So there's an interesting bunch of things that I think are, I don't, they were widely known. Now I don't think they are. And a couple of things. First, they were using the movie crew was using that gun for target practice on the set, on site.
Which is weird that it was an actual gun that would even fire live rounds.
Right. It was not a, the barrel wasn't plugged like most of them are.
Firing pin removed, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, all of the stuff. So it was an actual gun, and there was live ammo on the set. Now, going back, somebody brought up the Brandon Lee incident. Yeah, the Brandon Lee incident. So going at the Brandon Lee incident, it brought about changes, and one of those changes is that on a movie set, there can be no any kind, none. So, like in theory, you can't have it in your car, you can't have it in your movie trailer, you can't do that. And so that was interesting as well. And then the last thing that's really interesting about this whole thing to me is that while he said he didn't pull the trigger, he did draw the gun and physically aim it at the cinematographer. Now, he says that he was simply, as they're walking through this scene that's coming up, he maintains that all he did was to draw the gun and mime the action of what was going to happen, the action during that scene.
Yeah,
and
he was
the gun
practicing his cross draw is what he was saying.
Yeah, so
they have like gun handlers and everything usually on movie sets. Like they never just let you handle that shit on your own. Like they literally follow you around.
Again, I think all of that shit's out the window here. I think every time somebody says, well, they have this, they have that, I don't think any of that shit was in place because, again, as Clover mentioned, it was a low-end armorer who, wasn't even I don't even think that he was a real armorer. I think he was an armorer.
It was a she. It was a she.
Oh, it was a she. That's right.
And she already had questions surrounding her career as an armorer.
Yeah, she was young. She only got in because I think it was her dad got her in.
Right.
Like,
she was an assistant, right? She wasn't even a real armorer. She was an armorer assistant. But the two critical things here to keep in mind is all of the things that people say, well, on movie sets they have this, on movie sets they have that, on movie sets they have that. All these people that handle the gun, they hand the stars the gun, the stars aren't allowed to do anything. All of that's true, except in this case, they threw all that shit out the window. as near as we can tell, Baldwin picked the gun up. He was not handed the gun by anybody. He was not handed that load by anybody. He picked it up.
I mean,
Somebody had already
I'm
loaded
sure
it,
you
obviously.
heard of negligence on movie sets as well. Let's say that some people think are too cool
that's
for the
what
rules.
I'm saying is that's what I'm saying is everyone when we have this discussion, the first thing people say is like, well, there are gun handlers, there are these people. But I don't think any of that was happening here. I think, especially the real critical piece that people just gloss over is they were shooting targets on set with that gun.
Yeah, no, I think that's what you're saying right now, Grid, is what I brought up with the people yesterday. I was saying, like, there should be strict rules that you can only use the fucking guns that have the plugs and are made to only fit the blank. Like, that's the only
with post-production, CGI, and all the shit nowadays. 100%.
Actually, though, when we went into it, so Canada, this is why I know this, because we had a big argument about it, and I had to go search it up. So Canada has these really strict rules for guns on movie sets. There's nothing really definitive in America for guns on movie sets. So like this is a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to be deactivated in some way. Remove the fire. And that's all the trade shows I go to, you will see pictures of people handling and often this is the case. I'll do a video and I'll get comments and they'll be like, oh, that dude's flagging you with that. And I'm like, dude, it's a fucking trade show. First of all, there's a yellow tag on the trigger guard of that gun, meaning that it's been safety checked. Not only that, but the guy holding it safety checked it. I safety checked it. And in order to even get that into the venue, it has to be disabled, meaning the firing pin has to be removed. Like, chill. This is a completely safe, controlled environment, right? And movie sets should be a completely safe and controlled environment. That should be the job of the armorer, as well as security for outside stuff getting in, right?
Yep.
But there is no
movie
need.
producers shouldn't hit on actresses too. You know,
no need for live ammunition. Live ammunition even being on the set is a question in my mind. Like, why in the hell? I get you need ammunition to go in a belt or to whatever, right? I get all that, right? For prop ammo, but live ammo? Why in the world was there even any live ammo on the set?
Right.
Makes no sense.
Well, I at one point I might understand that for like, because some filmmakers, they talk about like doing having a realness that comes with the sound. One of the ones that did that was Michael Mann, and in that amazing masterpiece of a movie called Heat, where they have the downtown LA shooting, and that was all done with, they did live ammunition on that to kind of get the sound. But with the way squibs work and the way that technology, and like you were saying, with the CGI and all that, the thing about what was the issue with Brandon Lee was because they were exchanging out, and someone brought on live ammunition.
Whoa!
No, with the Brandon Lee case, it was something got into the barrel. It was a blank shot, but something got into the barrel and it projected into him.
Right, and
what
so
is this I hear about talking about my industry and guns.
Yeah, you missed
well,
that.
Glenn, fucking, if you weren't
Glenn, you're awake.
If he fucking woke up.
No, I was helping Thor's wife out.
So, Glenn, actually, I did actually want to hear from you though, because I think you have some personal experience with like guns on movie scenes.
Oh yeah.
What was like any of the like strict rules you can remember that they had for you there about the guns on scene?
Well, none of the guns could be fired, like are firing, in California. So they all have to be like the pin has to be pulled. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, and if we are using blanks, which is very rare these days, and if they are going to be using blanks, they're not going to be like within point blank range of anything. They're always going to be more of a wide shot.
Yeah.
And it's going to be from an angle, so it's like not even in the direction, and
or maybe remote camera or something.
Yeah. And typically, so what happens is you don't hold on to any of the guns. I don't hold on to the live firearm on me at all until we're using the scene that I'm shooting with the live firearm. Right. So For example, like, so let's say like, so when we shot Section 8, we shot blanks, right? There were blank rounds. But during the entire time leading up to that scene, when we're holding on to the, you know, weapon, none of them were activated. None of them were real. They were replicas, and they did, you know, like, you can't really tell the difference, right? When we're holding them, like when we're running, compared to when we're holding them and we're actually, you know, firing down range, right? So when they gave us the round, they gave us the guns with the blanks in them, and it's the armorer. The armorer is the one that gives you the gun. He shows you that it's cleared, and then he, you know, shows you that the rounds are blanks, right? And then he, you know, loads the mag for you. And this is all done before the scene, before the director calls action.
With you watching, right?
Yeah, because there's 3 people watching, so it's going to be the armorer, right? Second AD or the first AD. So that's the first assistant director or the second assistant director. And then
my head goes to a completely different place when you say AD.
Oh,
accidental discharge.
That sounds gross. So it goes to the first AD or the second AD is going to be standing there observing, and then the actor or the individual that's going to be taking over the firearm at that point. So everybody sees all, you know, there's 3 people observing this at all times. And then when we are done with that scene, unless they're going to call, like, you know, another, like, we're going to retake, we give up the firearm immediately. But see, each state has their own, SAG has their own rules, but also each state has their own rules. And if you're talking about the, you know, the, what's that fucktard's name?
Baldwin.
Yeah, Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin.
See, where Mexico doesn't have the same laws for filming as we do in America. So they were able to get away with a lot. See, like, for
that's
instance,
what we were talking about, how they were shooting targets on the range.
Yeah, like that's not acceptable. They were using those guns the day of.
Yeah, shooting live
ammo through it. That's not acceptable, you know, by any means. Now, there are some productions where they will, like, the armorer is not very diligent.
Wait,
right? He'll give you.
I think they were in weren't they in New Mexico?
Yeah, he said that's what I was like.
Yeah,
it took a second, but I was like, I thought
I was
like
for a minute there. I was like,
Montana.
wait, yeah, no, it's
I
New
think they were
Mexico.
in New Mexico when that happened, and they had filmed in Montana or something too. I think.
Oh, I thought they were in Mexico. From what I
no, they were in New Mexico.
No, that happened in New Mexico.
But they were still shooting those. They were shooting the firearms, with live ammo, day of. And they were, and the matter of fact, the entirety of filming, they were shooting live ammo.
Well, see, it really depends on the New Mexico's film, you know, guidelines.
They might not even have any, honestly.
It's some states really don't, like, you know, like, well, not that they don't, but they do, but the guidelines are so, you know, bare minimum.
Yeah.
Like, they could have like for example, they could, like, some states will have, like, they can hold you for 16 hours on set. And if you leave early, they don't have to pay you. Right. So there's certain states do not do very well, but they do great incentives for tax breaks for filmmakers, right? Like, because they'll get a huge bunch of tax breaks. But like when so the gal that got shot, it's funny is that my DP, that's the director of photography, actually was one of her assistants in AC coming up. And so it kind of like rocked him pretty, you know, Yeah, he was pretty
From
close.
what I heard, it rocked a lot of people, Glenn. In that.
Yeah, no. So actually, ever since the
shit like
Baldwin
this
thing,
shouldn't happen. That's the. I mean, you just heard everything Glenn explained about it. Should
Facts. No, yeah.
there's
that
enough,
was my point when I was bringing all these things that Glenn just said. These are what I was bringing up yesterday when I was debating the guy about Alec Baldwin. Is like there's all these things that are supposed to be in place. And in the end, it's like what you said, Clover. Once the gun reaches his hand, he needs to do a fucking check on it too.
Yeah.
And also, we're forgetting he skipped the day of training with the guns. They were supposed to do a day of training with the guns on set. He skipped that day, Mr. Alec Baldwin.
Even given all of that, even given all of that, had he had any significant education and or experience with guns, I think would have turned the tide as well, because he would have known again. He would have known again not to have his finger in the trigger guard, so that there was no chance that there was any interaction with the trigger. Right? I go back to the whole him saying he pulled it. Okay, maybe he didn't pull it, but that doesn't mean he didn't brush it, push it, tap it, bump it.
Right?
You choose a different word. You activated the fucker somehow.
Exactly.
And so, had he been more knowledgeable of firearms and experience with firearms, maybe that happened. And Grid, you know this to be the case. You take anybody that's not knowledgeable in firearms, they pick one up. What is the first fucking thing they do?
They check the gun. 100%.
No. Inexperienced with firearms.
Inexperienced. They point it.
First thing they do. What do they do?
They point at somebody, and you know what we did?
Yeah, and then the second thing, what do they do?
Pull the
As
trigger.
they're pointing it, usually.
Yep.
They're putting their finger in the trigger guard every single time.
And I kicked somebody off the set of Section 8. That was the film that we shot with Dolph Lundgren, and I was hired on as a contractor for the military scenes, and I gave everybody very firm instructions. Like, look, even the ones that they were replicas, like I told them, look, you will treat every weapon as if it's real.
Yeah,
I had this fucktard. And I told nobody, you will not point the guns at anybody. The only time you will ever point the guns from the guns going from the barrel muzzle going from the ground up is when you're in scene, and you're being given action, steps, right? And I gave the guy the gun, like I'm literally telling him this, and I hand him the gun. The first fucking thing that he did, he turns to his buddy and points the gun to his head. I said, "Get the fuck off my set." Get the fuck off my set. I was like, I can't believe you're this fucking stupid. Like, I just said, do not point the gun at nobody, and you just point the fucking gun.
By the way, shout out to Glenn for referencing one of my childhood heroes. I grew up loving Dolph Lundgren's movies. So.
Oh yeah, he's a great guy. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah. And a smart dude too. Isn't he like
he's
a physicist or some shit?
Yeah, he's like 2 masters or 2 bachelors, something like that. Multiple degrees. The other crazy thing was, and when we shot Tenet, they did a gun check, like it seemed like if you weren't, so everybody was issued a uniform and weapons that were doing background, and every time they called your group in, you had to go through a whole guard mount process. And it's where you stick the gun in the sand pit or the sand bucket, right? And you have to clear it, even though that they know they gave you an unloaded gun, right? Yeah. And that everything was not operable. They still went through the whole process because there were so many like M16s, right? It wouldn't be that hard for somebody to actually sneak a real M16 or an M4 in.
Swap something in, do something, just trying to cause trouble. Yeah. Absolutely.
So every time they switched like groups, they had to go through like a 30-minute like breakdown.
Yep.
And that's just like protocol. Like now I've been on a few sets where like these are really low budget and there was like no armor whatsoever. Right. And like we were using real guns. but like they were cleared, and it was just super sketch. Like you get there and they'll hand you a revolver, and they'll be like, "Oh, just so you know, the revolver is empty, but it's real." And you're like, "What the? What? Why are you giving me a real?"
And then
revolver?
you, Glenn, as a responsible person, checked the gun yourself, right?
Oh yeah. Well, no, like seriously, like I checked the gun.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. Alec Baldwin did it. He's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It was,
All right, guys.
that was being pointed at me. Of course, I fucking checked that
So,
shit.
yeah. So I'm gonna wrap up here in a couple of minutes. So I just want to do kind of like final comments. But the Baldwin thing is very interesting. It's gonna be cool to watch the trial. I'm not really sure how this is all gonna go, but we'll find out. We'll find out. My last comment on it is Baldwin's been on a set of a lot of movies using firearms, and he should know better. That's the only comment I can make. It's a really interesting dynamic that he's got himself into. So if we could just go around and do final comments, guys. It's 3:00. It was at a little past 3:00, and I generally have a hard out for the chat. I'm going to send you guys to Jay Dyer. You guys are going to have a lot of fun over there. He looks like he's having a great time today. And we always want to support Mr. Dyer if we can. John, do you have any final words? Close us out or close you out? Oh, Josie just dropped. Weird.
Her final word was screw all y'all.
Yeah,
exactly. She just didn't bother saying screw all y'all.
Out of here.
No, for my final thoughts, I would just say thanks for having me on and sending me over. I'll be on live tonight with Mayhem, and we're going to be we do kind of like a lot of different stuff. But I was going to I don't know if you saw my message in the private chat there, Easy, but I'll send you the link and you're invited. I don't know if you're going to be panel surfing tonight, if you are or not, but you're always welcome to come by.
I got some things to do, but if I'm out, I'll come and hang out on your panel and interact with your crowd. Absolutely, man. 100%.
We like to just have fun. We talk about some key stuff like film. You know, me and Mayhem are huge movie nerds, and
okay,
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'll probably be doing some panel surfing for the members
only. Fun stuff. So it may not be as good for some of the stuff that because Easy's really good at finding those panels that are just people saying some of the most reprehensible things, and you're like, I don't want to watch, but I want to watch.
Yeah,
it's like I don't want to slow down for the accident, but these people are really.
True. But, it's my ex-DJ days that help me.
There you go. Yeah. But as for the issue on the gun safety stuff and on the and overall thing, I think what we could all agree is that there needs to be better standardization for these policies, and I think it really does kind of. And what Glenn just told us, I think, kind of dispels us of this idea that all sets are equal in how they respect things, and all states are great at enforcing these things. And I think it's a sad thing. I think Baldwin should be responsible. Either way you cut it, I don't know. But yeah, that's about it. So.
Word.
But yeah, so 9 p.m. Eastern is when we're going to be going on, and we usually are only in for a couple hours, but we're not like you and Glenn and Easy. They go like 12 hours sometimes, it seems.
Yeah, no, I can't do that.
But we have fun. So, but anyways, thanks for having me on.
For the weary.
Yeah. Clover, your final words, sir.
So speaking of pew pew boomsticks, I'm waiting on a call from the gun shop any minute now. I should have 2 coming in today, so it's going to be fun. Awesome. On the Baldwin thing, it's a tragedy that never should have happened. Many things went wrong, and to that, I agree with what's already been said by Glenn and the others. There should be a tightening of the policies and everything surrounding film production to make sure whether that's vetting armor is better, or more security on set, whatever the case may be. Separate of a Second Amendment issue, I don't think the government should get involved with it at all. The best regulation when it comes to firearm ownership is recognizing that we want to be safe, responsible gun owners, and taking it upon ourselves to do the things to make that happen. So I think the industry, talking about Hollywood, I think they're fully equipped to take that on and do that, and they probably should. In regards to Baldwin specifically, I do believe he's going to be convicted. I do not believe he's going to spend any time behind bars or anything like that. So just that's what I would say, be prepared for the outcome to be.
All right. Glenn?
Yeah, what do you guys want me to say? Good
I
show.
don't know. Good show. All right.
What do you want me to say?
Mr. Glenn Lawrence for 2024, and
He's still waking up, good.
I know, he's
like, I'm getting ready to like drive down to Los Angeles and pick up Thor from surgery. So
okay.
No, my final thoughts is that, like, besides the fact that Baldwin should have checked the fact that the gun was loaded or not, he was the executive producer on this project. He chose to pay himself half the budget that of the film, just for his role and for his executive producer spot. He could have actually utilized his the good portion of his wages that he decided to pay himself to hire a decent crew, a full crew, but he chose to cut corners, and by choosing to cut corners, he chose to work with the skeleton crew, overwork that crew on top of that, and they were already behind film schedule, so they were trying to burn, all the oil. They were probably working, just pure 12s, like from balls to balls, and when you do that, people are tired, people, miss, forget steps, and he's the exec, so it should all fall on him. And I think that he should, be convicted criminally as well as civilly. Those are my final words. And Grid, I want that hat.
The one I have? This one? I'll get you one.
Actua.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll, as a matter of fact, I need to drive down there maybe this week. I'll see if I can make that happen for you. All right, Speakeasy, take us out, man. What do you got?
Oh, just just to touch on again with the Alec Baldwin thing. Like I said, I think as a grown man, and an American, he just those alone is enough for me to say he should have understood when he had the gun in his possession that all the responsibility of what's happening with that gun is in his hands, literally. So yeah, I think he definitely has the ultimate responsibility on himself. And also, thanks for having me, Grid. Chat, don't be freeloaders. Hit that fucking like, sub up if you're bush watching. Don't do that shit. Just hit that sub. All right.
I appreciate it, man. Guys, I'm sending you over to Mr. Dyer. You guys have a great day. See ya.
Take care.